Hello there, and welcome back.
What is this place?
Disconnected.
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 Disconnected. Disconnected.
Disconnected.
Disconnected.
Disconnected.
Disconnected.
Disconnected.
Disconnected.
Disconnected.
I'm starting to feel disconnected.
You have reached a number that has been disconnected.
Hey, everyone. Live for another Thursday this week with not only first-time guest, but somebody genuinely honored to have with me, the one and only Mr. Richard Cox. Richard, thanks for doing this.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
For those that don't know, Richard is an artist, designer, colorist, and everything. You might recognize his work from the most recent Deaf Crocodile release shipping of a Crocodile. This incredible cover was all your work. Amazing job on this.
Thank you.
I am so stoked on it. And Sirius last year, another one that we were on. Beautiful release on that one.
Thank you, sir.
Again, thanks for doing this. Richard, big fan of films and kaiju films, which is why after the announcements tonight, we're talking about everything kaiju and tokusatsu and kaiju adjacent and TV and everything. Yeah, we'll get into all that. First off, your background. Why don't you tell everybody how you got started in all this?
Oh, gosh. Well, my degree is in art from low back in the day. Manny, I'll age myself by saying at least probably over a decade ago, Craig and I got to know each other.
Yeah.
And he was sort of my art rep for a while. And I think it was actually after he was my rep, I happened to do Peter Lorre M piece for myself. It was just a close-up of Lori's face in deep shadow. And he's looking up at you, and one of his eyes is an M.
Yeah.
And it was in grayscale. And I have to talk to him about this specifically, but I think he remembered that piece and he came back around to me. And because he knew me, I've talked to him many times about, the death of movie posters and how, I'm into all these other types of art. And I do a lot of different types of art, movie posters and design have always been my love. Early 20th century illustration in general, American, is something I love a great deal. So he remembered that about me and was like, hey. And so from what he's told me, he was just waiting to start seeing ones that he thought really fit what he saw as me and what I do. And he contacted me about Sirius, which was kind of out of the blue and awesome, because when he contacted me about it, I didn't know he was asking for a cover for one of his discs. I thought he was just saying, hey, would you be interested in making me a piece of art? And then finally he was like, no, this is for a cover and then I was like, oh, that's awesome. Let's do that. Yeah, and I already have. So I did those two. I honestly think Crocodile is probably one of the best pieces of art I've done. I was so happy with that one. And part of the credit goes to them, to Craig and Dennis, just because, I always supply multiple thumbnails, and this is the one they picked. Of something like, I think for this one, because I think I mentioned earlier, I love this movie. I truly do love this movie.
Yeah.
So I think I overwhelmed him with something like 8 prelims and 8 different ideas, and I was like, pick. And so I don't think I can say much more, except I do have 4 more already lined up from them that I can't really talk about right now. But I've seen some of them, and they're great movies.
I am excited for those, since I know what covers they are. Lots to talk about tonight. The first big one, not sure how up you are on current events and all that stuff, but it was such a big piece of news last time it was brought up. Today, Netflix announced that they pulled out of the whole "we're buying Warner Brothers" thing, and at first, my immediate reaction was like, "Oh, that's a great thing. Cinema is saved." And then you realize, wait. That means it's likely to go to Paramount, and that means that the entire draw for this is, unfortunately, there's like the whole propaganda machine that's happening with Paramount right now. There's the idea that 2 studios being ran by one studio head is a terrible thing for all of cinema. And, some of the things that we hold dear for us, things like Warner Archive, a lot of the people at Paramount are going to be overlapping. So in other words, that means some people are definitely going to be laid off. Any thoughts on the whole Netflix, WB, and Paramount thing from you?
From me? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
don't think you said anything I wouldn't disagree with. I think it's, you know, people who know me, I'm not a fan of corporate mergers anyway. I just see
Nope.
someone posted monopolies are bad, so there you go.
Yeah.
So to me, it is very much, you know, what is the least of the two evils, and that would have been Netscape.
Yeah.
I don't even think the Warner Archives, broadly speaking, are in. I don't think they're a driving factor at all in this. I think this is like you're saying.
Right.
This is very much more about right wing media, and it's very much more about things like CNN, and people are already seeing, well, are they just going to start making propaganda movies? And yeah, who knows, right? But yeah, it's not a good thing, and it's also a broader pattern of these consolidations of monopolies in both this hobby and this area and others. It's terrible. It's really what it is to me.
On a day that we saw announced a Daily Wire-backed film produced by Ben Shapiro, starring Jonathan Majors, who choked a woman in the backseat of a taxi, and it's being billed as an anti-woke sinners. I will just say propaganda films are bad, and I hope that's not a hot take.
Well, Zach and what is it? Is his
Oh,
name
Zach Levi is it's
as
a
his
twin, yeah.
brother. Yeah, oh gosh. Will it be
The
blackface?
anti-woke twin sinners movie. Yay, that sounds
Yeah.
exciting. Jesus. Here we are in 2026 having that conversation.
Yeah.
But what we can talk about is what we've watched recently, what we've picked up recently. So, Richard, first of all, what kind of physical media are you into? What do you like to purchase?
What in general?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I my tastes are wide and varied. At least I hope so. Japanese cinema is an obvious one. Broadly, I love Japanese cinema of all of its ilks. Kurosawa is my favorite director, hands down. Yeah, I love animation. I love noir. That's one of the reasons. Krakatee was like this. It's noir. It's sci-fi. It's surrealist. It's German expressionism. I mean, in its way, it's all of these things. That's going back to why I loved it. Gosh, classic movie. It's so hard for me to say. I will try to watch about anything that piques my interest.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what are the last few things you've been picking up?
So, ironically, one of them is the 4K of Sinners, since we were just talking about that.
Beautiful 4K disc, by the way. Looks really great.
Yeah, it's a beautiful disc. Krakatee, to be obvious. Other deaf crocodile one I have is Alarun and the Student of Prague. That checked off a number of boxes for me. I'll forget her name, but the actress who was in Metropolis, Conrad Veidt. My favorite movie to throw everything off here is Casablanca. Conrad Veidt, of course, is in that, as well as The Man Who Laughs and any other number of amazing things.
Yeah.
So those, and of course the Dave McKean covers. It checked off all of these same boxes for me. So I haven't watched it yet, but I've picked those up. And Shaft. I picked the Criterion edition of Shaft up on Blu-ray.
Nice. That's a fun disc too. It looks really good.
I periodically will go through blaxploitation fits where I start diving into Shaft. It's great.
Shaft is great indeed. The other thing, obviously, is anybody looking at the screen at the moment can tell you're a big toy fan. Obviously, buy a lot of kaiju toys. Any of those that are recent purchases that are fun for you?
So it's funny. So the ones behind me are probably without nerding out too much in it, are my favorites. This whole room is kaiju toys. Within circles, I'm known for what I collect, but my favorites and what's behind me are vintage toys. So they're ones they're produced before 1980. So they're like, unlike a lot of toys today, they're toys made as toys and made for kids to play with. And they show it. And so I kind of love those, which also means, to be nerd about it, I've got the first of a lot of these, the first Godzilla vinyl toy, the first, etc. But I love it. I mean, and in a lot of ways, they're really stylized. I mean, you can see some of these bright colors behind me. They're really
Yeah.
stylized and fun and with bright colors. And which is what a lot of designer toys are today. If anyone here understands or knows the designer toy market, is really goes back to and is based on these things that were actually made for children and are truly toys to be played with as opposed to put on a shelf.
Yeah.
And they survived since the mid 60s. So they're pretty great.
I would agree. They look really nice. The whole premium designer side of toys it's very appealing. And every time I went, I kind of want a couple of these. I see the price tags. I'm like, I don't think I can.
I sort of, dance around that. I've been buying kaiju toys, which the whole reason I set up in this room is because we're talking about kaiju.
Yeah.
I've been buying kaiju toys since the 90s. So I would not be able to have the collection or hobby I have if I started now. There's no way. There was a big in the U.S. actually big auction that happened of somebody's collection like 2 nights ago. You can imagine I'm up with a couple of collector friends and we've got chats up and we're watching it and commenting behind the scenes, and we just kept commenting like, oh my God, why is this going for this price? This is insane. Yeah. But it was like it kept happening. So, I think maybe we're just old now. And we're used to these other things, and now it's like, what? Yeah. So I love that. I love that hobby. So it's a fun hobby to have, and it clicks a lot of my buttons. So it's great.
That makes sense. A couple of my things. We're going to talk about Deaf Crocodile a lot tonight. Obviously, we've already covered Crocodile and Sirius, but I got in the brand new titles. This is Hair High, the Bill Plimpton film. Dear friend of mine, Celeste Lacabra, makes their disc debut on here, doing a visual essay called "Horny High: Sex, Identity, and Animated Anarchy in Hair High," and it's incredible. Check out the disc. And then the other one, maybe one of the best looking 4Ks from Deaf Crocodile yet. Song of the Miraculous Hind, animated film in 4K, looks absolutely ridiculous, shockingly great 4K. Another great 4K that came out this week, finally, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. This is a Nobuhiko Obayashi film, cover art by Sam Smith, which is amazing. Loved working with Sam on this one. And then the last thing to highlight, finally got in my newest issue of my magazine that I published, Physical Media Advocate, Batman cover. You can check this out. And funny enough, it's already the end of the month, which means new issue coming out in like 4 or 5 days. So check that out, Physical Media Advocate, anywhere on Amazon or any of the places it's sold online. Please, I'd love to have it.
That Dark Knight Returns cover, it turned 40 yesterday.
Yes, it did. That is quite a long time for that.
That ages me as well. I was like, oh gosh, I remember when it was coming out. So
understandable. Yeah, this is actually funny enough, a photo we took of a statue in Los Angeles, and we made the cover out of that, and it works shockingly well. Yeah,
it's a beautiful cover.
All right, recent watches. What have you been checking out?
So Viridiana, which I had not seen before. I'm happy to describe all these. I'll just try to describe it all without giving anything away. The short plot, I'm sure there's lots of people here who have seen it. It's about, now I don't know the proper terminology, but it's about a woman who's getting ready to be, for lack of a better word, indoctrinated into her convent as a nun. Her uncle's been paying for her schooling, and she has to go spend some time with him. And it then becomes, it evolves from there, again, without really wanting to get into the plot too much, into, as you can imagine, commentary about society and religion.
Yeah.
And there, and the interplay between those and how religion can affect your practicality and your reality around you.
Of course.
So that, To Live and Die in LA, I saw recently. I mean, honestly, it's neo-noir, which is great, but honestly, the main reason I was curious to watch it was young Willem Dafoe.
He is very young in that movie.
Yeah. So it was very much, it was very much like, gosh, I haven't seen any young Willem Dafoe movies in ages, and then it popped up on the Criterion Channel, and I'm like, okay. So yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it. What else? The Wild Robot.
Great animated movie. I love that. Did you like that one?
I did love it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, to be honest. I kind of
Nice.
went into it thinking, okay, it's going to be something standard we could all put together. And we could all sort of kind of write it, right? If you think about it,
Yeah.
the robot that's lost. But it becomes this whole other mediation on motherhood. And that was kind of course, there's a whole getting to nature and all that too, but
Right.
that was kind of wonderful. I really enjoyed it. I saw Weapons, which I did not get to
Nice.
see in the theater. It was fine. I didn't like it as much as a lot of people do,
Yeah.
but it was fine. Then I saw When a Woman Ascends the Stairs. So we're back into Japanese cinema finally, and it's also ticked some of those boxes for me. Post-war Japan.
Right.
It's about basically a woman. Her husband's passed away, and she's a hostess in a bar. More than a hostess, but that's what they're calling them. Hostess in a bar, but it's really about how, especially in a post-war Japan that's so seedy, how do they make their way? How do you make your way as a divorced woman, and some of the hardships? It was really good. I enjoyed it a great deal. So those would probably be my most recent watches.
I've got two young kids. I've got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, and we are making our way through the Lord of the Rings trilogy for the first time together with them, and just showed them the Two Towers this week, and they are so deep and just entrenched in these films now. It's exciting to see them like dying to watch the next half of the film or whatever. We have to watch it in long parts because I'm showing them the extended editions, of course. And
I was getting ready to ask. Yeah,
it's a blast, and I'm so excited that they're catching like the complexities of the story and liking the people that you want them to like, and finding out like the nuances of, wait, is he dead? Is he not? Like, oh, he's coming back. This is exciting, and all of that is fun. I did talk about this a couple weeks ago, but I did want to say, especially for you tonight, I just showed my kids their first ever fully not in English subtitled film for the first time ever, and I saw it for the first time. Godzilla -1. Finally watched it.
It's on my list.
It is so damn good for kids. It's one of those like it's scary, but like there's not enough in it to be like you should not be watching this or anything like that. The writing is great. It's easy for them to follow. Man, it was a damn good time.
I have two stories about it. Number one is I describe the movie to people. I describe -1 to people, and I say, and a lot of the best kaiju movies are like this. You can take the monster out, you take Godzilla completely out, and you still have a really amazing movie about survivor's guilt and PTSD from the Japanese perspective. And it would still be one of the best movies I saw that year. The other thing is I took a friend of mine who's into Japanese pop culture, but he's not really into Godzilla. I took him to see it, and I didn't tell him anything about it, and he was crying at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great film.
I went and saw Shin Godzilla in the theater last year when it was making the rounds, and that was the first time I saw that one. How do you feel about Shin Godzilla?
Shin Godzilla is a movie people love or hate.
Yeah.
I fall more on the love than the hate side, because I was really interested in the allegory of it. First of all, I mean, it was very much about Fukushima.
Yeah.
And even when again, I try to say things without giving too much away about how, but Shin Godzilla is what, 10 years old now.
Yeah.
When they have him subdued and the cranes are cranking the things, the
Yeah.
those are the exact same cranes that were at Fukushima. Just as a quick example. And so, of course, it's getting all the problems with government bureaucracy. And from everyone told me, it's pretty accurate. Now, does it make an entertaining movie? That's where it becomes a bigger question. But I don't think there's anyone who's argued with me that the combination of when he first uses his nuclear array, the combination of when he does it and the music at that point is pretty incomparable. And the music is one of the problems in that movie, to me, honestly, because a lot of it's recycled, and I can talk about this later too. So a lot of it's recycled from Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah.
Same director. And so you're watching it and suddenly you're like, oh, and they didn't, and even when they pulled classic Godzilla tracks for the movie, it doesn't fit. That the sound scope isn't right. And I don't know how, I'm not, I can't describe. There are technical words for what I'm trying to say there, but it really is jarring in its way. I'm like, well, that's the original Fukube score, but why doesn't it sound right here?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I really enjoyed it because I was really into like figuring out the allegory and the bureaucracy, which a lot of people thought was boring. But to me, it was really interesting. It was a really cool design. It was the first one in a while, in my opinion, to really get back to the original idea of what Godzilla is. And that he's, and we'll talk about this when we're trying to define kaiju. He's basically choose your perspective. He's a force of nature, or he is some sort of mythic god beast.
Right.
And that's one of the things about the movie. He doesn't even notice us, really. I mean,
just part of the scenery.
Yeah, he bumps into things, and at half the time when they're attacking him, he just ignores it. It's irrelevant. I mean, you can say some of these same things about -1, except he's more. I mean, Shin Godzilla isn't even a dinosaur originally. And there's all sorts of questions about what he was originally and what happened there. And I like the movie. It's not -1, but I like it. It's very much, to me, is a Godzilla movie. Yeah.
It was the main thing in it that really got me to go like, oh damn, like there's some cool things happening here. I loved how they led up to the moment of the dignitaries going for the trip out away from the building, and then just immediately that scene happens, and you're like, oh fuck, like okay, anything is on the table in this movie, and that's incredible.
That's the scene I was talking about before, where that music hits. And I mean, again, 10 years old, this jaw starts dislocating, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? And it was, so when I first saw it, was in the theater on its original release, and it was like when that scene happened, it was silence in the theater.
Yeah.
I mean, it was complete silence.
It's the perfect climax after that moment of the tension of like, oh, they're making the decision to do this, and then, oh wait,
and you're like, yeah, it's like, oh. And of course, the people like to try to figure out what the ending is, which is interesting when they zoom in on his tail. But I don't want to. That can still be fun for people who haven't seen it before to stop and zoom in on that and say, well, what is? I mean, that's the great thing about Shin Godzilla is repeatedly you're like, what is going on? Not in a bad way. It's like like the little version of Godzilla at the beginning, you first see that, you're like, what in the world? That thing is weird and kind of cool and disgusting. Like, what is going on? And they really pulls you into that, what is going on? And it really does a good job of kaiju as metaphor for natural disaster.
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
And it's one of the few that actually has a scene that sort of gets into the radiation that follows in his wake. Like all the movies talk about how irradiated Godzilla is, and I joke sometimes watching. I'm like, well, that helicopter went past them; they're dead. But there's actually a scene, if I'm remembering Shin Godzilla, a computer scene where you see the radiation wake behind him walking.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's got some. I enjoy the movie. I actually just recently picked up. They just did a 4K Japanese release, and I just picked that up.
They did. That is a beautiful release.
It's a beautiful set. Yeah, already had it on 4K, and I was like, "Roop." I'll take this one. It's great. I picked up the same pick. Just picked up the Japanese 4K release of Godzilla -1, which has that beautiful black and white edition of it on there as well.
I still need to watch the black and white one. I have not yet.
It's cool. They didn't just desaturate it; they fully remastered it for the
hell
yeah. Yeah, it's really good.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, so that is what we've recently watched, and digression into Godzilla for 6 minutes. Let's get into this last week's announcements, which I gotta be honest, this is one of the most like eclectic lists that we've had in a long time for random titles to be announced in 1 week. So first off, the company that we've already talked about a lot tonight, Deaf Crocodile, releasing in late March from 1979, the Dead Mountaineers Hotel, which this movie is so hard to explain. So they've got it on here listed as a 1970s Euro Giallo classic noir whodunit and unbelievably alien sci-fi a la The Man Who Fell to Earth. And somehow all of that is very accurate. This is a 4K disc, also has a Region A locked Blu-ray in the case as well. Beautiful, just incredible box art as usual with Deaf Crocodile. The limited edition on this is by Hans Woody. The standard on this, as usual, is by Beth Morris. Just ridiculously great packaging as per usual. Brand new 4K restoration done by Craig from Deaf Crocodile himself and Michael Coronado for Deaf Crocodile. The color grade by Tyler Fagerstrom. First ever 4K anywhere in the world of this movie. Brand new commentary by Michael Brook. Visual essay called Snow Job, a routine investigation at Dead Mountaineers Hotel by myself and Dr. Will Dodson. It's a really fun visual essay. Check it out. There's an excerpt from the documentary bonus track from 2016 on the composer. There's a vintage making of Dead Mountaineers Hotel featurette from Estonian Public TV. Vintage Soviet Estonian newsreel on the footage of the making of the movie. And then on the limited edition side, we've got 3 new essays, one by Walter Shaw, one by Michelle Kisner on the video game of the Dead Mountaineers Hotel. And then Soviet film scholar Peter Rohlberg also has an essay on this one. You haven't seen Dead Mountaineers Hotel. Any thoughts on this?
Lots of thoughts on this, honestly. Though I haven't seen it, I've seen stills from Craig's restoration and short videos from his restoration, and I will own this. It looks like an amazing, nuts, beautifully saturated mystery.
Yeah.
And apparently there's a Saint Bernard that has something to do with it, but I have no comment. I don't know about that.
He is such a good dog in this movie. Everybody needs to check this out. This movie is genuinely incredible. And just, again, Hans Woody, amazing art on this. I cannot wait to hold this box for sure. Next up, we've got April 27th, a Blu-ray in the UK coming of Film Treasure's release of X-Cross from 2007. Speaking of Japanese films, this one is from Kenta Fukasaku, director of Battle Royale 2, Requiem, and Yo-Yo Girl Cop. This is a double-walled slipcase with new art by Alon Sheedy of Uncle Frank Productions. We've got a booklet with new writing by Jonathan Root and David Michael Brown. You can get a Reika magnet if you order from their website and a poster with it as well. There's a brand new HD master featuring the director-approved grading, new audio commentary by Patrick Macias, new interview with the director Kenta Fukasaku, new scissor slaying and sheer slashing visual essay by author Simon J. Ballard, new The Rise of Japan's Girls with Gore Cinema visual essay by Robert Edwards, and a set of reversible sleeve on this with 2 artwork choices, of course. Have you seen X-Cross?
I've not seen X-Cross. You mentioned Battle Royale 2, which I have seen that, and it was pretty good.
It's no Battle Royale 1, that's for sure.
No, well, I own that one. It's a classic. Battle Royale is a classic. I love that movie.
Love it. Next up, Hammer over in the UK on May 4th is releasing a pair of Blu-rays. The first one is from 1961, and this is The Snake Woman, coming on Blu-ray only. This one says, an Edwardian detective investigates a series of venomous deaths in this thrilling monster horror from award-winning director Sidney J. Furie. Incredible director. This is a brand new 2K restoration from the original negatives, and it's available here for the first time anywhere in the world. This collector's edition that is limited will have new artwork by Lydia Maltby. We've got an O-card packaging on this that is different than their usual hard box releases. This is going to have new commentary with Heidi Honeycutt and Sarah Morgan. We've got a Region B lock disc, so check that out for sure. And then to go with it, another Sidney J. Furie film, also from 1961, Dr. Blood's Coffin. This is Britain's first color zombie film. What a very specific honorific to impart on a film. This one will have a new commentary with Jonathan Rigby and Kevin Lyons. And again, this is Region B locked. Any thoughts on Hammer Horror or Sidney J. Furie?
No thoughts on Fury. Hammer Horror, I kind of love. It's very... they weren't afraid to go in directions that really haven't been gone in before. I have not I've not seen Dr. Blood's Coffin, but they're not these. Of course, these aren't. They're not Peter Cushing movies,
right?
I'm trying to say it's polite.
What a diplomatic way to say that.
I haven't seen them, so I'm not seeing Peter Cushing, and I'm not seeing Basil Rathbone, and I'm not.
Yeah.
So it's I love the art.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yes, this is very interesting. Yeah, the art looks great on these. Very excited to see the classic style art.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up, in the UK, April 20th, we get a 4K Blu-ray release from Screenbound Pictures of Razorblade Smile from 1998. This was released by Severin here in the US on 4K as well. For anybody that has not seen it, this is a movie. For some people, this is one that they love. For others, this is a little less on the great film list side for people. Have you seen Razorblade Smile?
I have not.
This does not sound like a Richard Cox film.
I'm saying no a lot, I'm realizing.
That is okay. Robert, I agree. Daniel Kramer absolutely should have been doing featurettes for those Sidney J. Furie films. He's the obvious choice. But alas, they did not. I don't know how we didn't make that decision over there. Still in the UK, Shameless putting out a 4K Blu-ray release of Suspiria. This is kind of a big deal because this is the first time that this has been released on this format in the UK. And obviously the Synapse release has been out here for years. And a lot of people are, they've probably imported this by now, but this is quite expensive to get the Synapse release over to the UK. So I'm glad that they are going to be able to get this. Now, what's interesting is they are listing here a new HDR, Dolby Vision grading, and surround sound mix on this. Now, the Synapse 4K in the US has been heralded as like one of the best looking 4Ks ever, but it is very different than the previous UK release of the film, which was supposedly overseen by the DP from the film. And so I have a feeling this is going to look very, very different than the 4K here in the US. Now, if you're a Suspiria completist, you might want to get both. If you're a Suspiria purist, I don't know what to believe here because the grades look very, very different. All I know is Suspiria has always been known for being a very vibrant, colorful, like, holy hell, the colors here are blinding my eyes type of film. And the UK grade of this previously was much dimmer. So I'm quite curious to see what like the actual real answer is here. And the reality is we'll never know the real answer. But Suspiria, have you seen the movie? How do you feel about the movie?
It's a great movie. I'm a big fan of Suspiria, and yeah, I always think about it as being very vibrant myself. So
yeah,
you're piquing my interest. Yeah, to me, in a lot of ways, it's a pivotal movie.
Yeah, I agree. One of my like key memories that I'm going to have for years is I think it was 2 years ago now. I got to see Suspiria in the theater with, of course, Goblin playing the score live, and that was everything. I mean,
the Goblin score in and of itself is something that people could study.
Yeah.
And then try to find other stuff by Goblin if you can. And,
Yeah. The moments of just absolute frisson that night, that the tingles up and down the spine, I will never forget some of those feelings.
oh yeah, I was jealous.
This summer, Oscilloscope is releasing a fairly new film called Obex. They're putting this out on Blu-ray and DVD. This will have an audio commentary, short films from the director Albert Burney, making of the real Obex game. Josh Dibbs scoring Obex. That's an exclusive to the Blu-ray. Promos that are going to be on the Blu-ray exclusively, behind-the-scenes footage. I was able to see this last year as part of Sundance. I thought this was pretty damn great. Set in 1987, and it's just a very unique visual film. Have you had a chance to see this yet?
I have not. I'm enjoying the cover.
Yes, it is surprisingly a very accurate cover for the movie. And
Really?
if this isn't something that's intriguing, I think you should check it out for sure.
I mean, yeah, Devil Doorway, Man and His Dog. Sure, sign me up.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Is there hope for a Blu-ray of American Angels Baptism of Blood? I am not sure, Michael. No idea on that front, but we'll see. Corinne wants to know, does the dog die? I have to be honest, I don't remember entirely, but I don't think so.
We do know there's a website that will tell you, doesthedogdie.com.
You know what I just found out? And this is a weird rant, but you and I were talking about corporatism and all that bullshit before we went live. So this is kind of on par here. So doesthedogdie.com is something I used to recommend to everybody on the show. They started charging people to see certain things on the website. So you could see like a couple of the triggers, but if you wanted to see all the triggers, you had to pay a fee. What is that?
Oh, wow. I hope it's just to pay for the hosting because they're popular.
I would love to think so, but
yeah,
I doubt it.
Yeah, me too. That's terribly unfortunate. So I don't know if I can say that anymore.
Shout out to my friend Connor Holt, who is live at Brain Dead Studios in LA right now, checking out the documentary Stolen Kingdom, which my company Antenna Releasing is putting on in theaters tonight in LA. Go check it out. Except you can't if you're not there because it's sold out. So congrats, Connor. Brendan said, does the dog pay? That's pretty good. Oh, ZPAM. Okay, I'm remembering now. The answer to does the dog die? The answer is yes and no. I am remembering now. Yep, it's been a long time. I saw it again last January, so it's been a while. That is the answer. Kino Lorber, coming soon on Blu-ray and maybe 4K here in the U.S., is Counselor at Crime from 1973. This is the Thomas Millian film, and it's going to have a brand new UHD SDR master, which means they're likely going to put it out on 4K. This is likely a Studio Canal 4K. Italian crime films. Is that something that you're into?
There are things I've seen. I can't say I'm heavily into it. Crime are interesting, but
yeah. The big draw for maybe anybody into the big cult scene is this is shot by Joe D'Amato, which very interesting to get a Joe D'Amato shot Italian crime film from the early 70s. Next up, also from Oscilloscope, we were just talking about them. 2024's Mistress Dispeller is coming this summer on Blu-ray and DVD. This will have an audio commentary, Q&A with the director Elizabeth Lowe and the executive producer Constance Wu. We got some deleted scenes and a theatrical trailer. I had never even heard of this one until they announced it on Blu-ray.
I neither, but I've read it sounds interesting.
Yeah. It's certainly one that I'll check out. I love Oscilloscope's releases. This is bound to be pretty good, I'm sure. Another Italian crime film, we got Weapons of Death from 1977, coming soon on Blu-ray and maybe 4K from Kino Lorber. This one is big. It's got Henry Silva in it, and that is somebody that is always interesting to watch on screen. I love this poster, too. Classic 70s.
That's what I was just looking at. It's so almost Starsky and Hutch.
It sure is.
It's pretty great.
With that hair.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's great.
Speaking of hair, great hair in Top Gun coming out on a 4K Steelbook on May 5th. This is a re-release of the exact same disc that they've been putting out for quite some time. Are you a Top Gun fan?
No, I've seen it. It's just not my shtick.
Same exact feeling here.
Yeah.
just not my thing. Don't love the military propaganda aspect either. Speaking of military propaganda, Film Masters releasing on February 24th, The History of Flight. We Saw It Happen from 1953 with giant names that you might know and probably disrespect, such as William Boeing, Frank Long, Glenn L. Martin, and Igor Sikorsky. This is part of their archive collection, which means it has a brand new 2K or 4K scan. There are no extras on the disc, but it will have closed captions. This is a documentary from 1953, and it was used by United Aircraft to celebrate 50 years of flight.
I think that would be interesting to watch.
Yes, it absolutely would be.
I'm sure I'd be fascinated by that. Yeah.
I certainly want to check that one out eventually. Hey, we were talking about this one too. This is the news that pissed off the most people this week that I never imagined should have. But Criterion has announced that they are releasing Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein and K-pop Demon Hunters. Richard, how do you feel about this?
I think it's great. I wanted to say that quickly. If it pissed off people, I can imagine why. But I mean, del Toro is not a surprise.
No, not at all.
Frankenstein, I thought was a beautiful movie. I mean, I thought it was a beautiful, both aesthetically and plot and everything else. I realize it's not like I was putting down the story, but I'm not. I enjoyed the story. It's a great movie. But because del Toro is an artist himself, I mean, it's so well composed. You can tell he loved what he was doing. It was amazing. Yeah. No surprise. K-pop Demon Hunter surprised me, but not at the same time not, because they've done other Netflix movies.
Right.
And I mean, it's hard. It's a good movie. At the same time, it may not be everyone's shtick, but it is a good movie. And I have Jellyfish Guys. That's a good movie too. And I think what I said before is like, even if you're not happy with the release, which I am happy with the release, if you're not happy, it's going to fund the movies you love and then being able to do it for years, probably.
Yeah.
So you're going to win even if you don't like the movie. And I think, part of how I've described Criterion to people in the past, because there will always be movies say, well, why is this particular movie part of the Criterion collection? And one of the things I've said in the past as well, one of the things, it's Criterion's marketing, but one of the things is they say it's the important movies. That doesn't mean they're the good movies necessarily, but they're important.
Right.
I'm not, there are movies in the Criterion collection that I would say are not good movies, but I can at the same time say, but I understand if they're trying to say these are important movies. I understand why this movie I think is terrible is there.
Right.
But I do think K-pop Demon Hunters is a good movie. It's a very good movie. And it's hard to argue it has not been an important movie. And I think that influence is going to show for years to come.
100%. First off, I've still yet to see Frankenstein, so I can't really comment much on Frankenstein. I am one of those people that loved early Del Toro, and all the recent stuff has been a little less exciting to me. I feel like when he got access to budgets, I feel like the innovation went down quite a bit.
I was not a fan of Nightmare Alley, and I thought I would be.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it's also a remake of an earlier movie. But I went into it, it's like, this is going to be really interesting to me. And it's probably my least favorite Del Toro movie.
Understandable.
Yeah. And I love Del Toro.
Right.
Beyond that, it's hard for me to say, and that one was even a beautiful movie. It was well done, very well done. And again, his cinematography is amazing. It just didn't strike with me. And I do love his film. I own most of his movies.
So yeah, all of the people hating on this, I think, is ridiculous. First of all, Criterion, they're a business. They got to make money. So obviously both of these are smart choices. They're both going to make them a lot of money. The other thing is, Criterion is not a bar that movies are judged against. historically, they've gotten a lot of films that critics have held in high regard, and so it's given them this status. Yes, there is a mission associated with Criterion, and if you go to their website, there is a mission listed of that being films that are important in pop culture. You cannot argue to me that K-pop Demon Hunters is probably like one of the top 3 or 4 most important pop culture films of 2025 by a long shot.
Yeah.
It affected the most people, were seen by the most people. The music, #1 on the radio station, literally. Pretty much everything about the film is technically incredibly impressive. This is not being admitted into the Criterion Collection is not something where they have a board going, is this good enough to be in the collection? No. They're a label. If they can license it, they're going to fucking release it, and it's going to make them a shit ton of money.
I can't imagine there's a label out there that if Netflix said, would you please release K-pop Demon Hunters for us? They could come to me and ask, and I'd find a way. I mean, yeah, exactly. You know, people like to complain, and I'm sure some of the complaints are, you know, have nothing to do with the actual quality of the movie. I'll say that as well.
The reality is most people that complained about it this week have never watched K-pop Demon Hunters and likely never won't for a myriad of reasons. One of them being a lot of people that are like Criterion fanboys are so against animation, which is one of the reasons there's like only 7 or 8 titles in the entire Criterion collection that are animated, which is embarrassing in itself. Think of all the amazing animated films that are more pop culturally relevant than so many of the films in the collection already.
They briefly on the Criterion channel had an anime playlist. It was like 5 movies.
Yep.
And most of them are gone now. I mean, there were interesting selections, and it's hard to argue with the ones that were there, but I was like, okay, maybe this is something. But yeah, I mean, I first saw, actually, it's amusing considering my age and everything. I saw K-pop Demon Hunters before it became what it became.
Yeah.
Because I saw an image of Derpy Cat. And considering my interest, I have a yokai tattoo on my arm. I saw that and I was like, well, that, I know this is Korean, but that looks fake, you know. And so I started looking at it, and they're fighting these demon monsters. I'm watching this.
Yep.
So my angle was monsters, which comes back around to kaiju, right?
Yeah.
It was the monsters and that guy. So I was like, no, this is just really good. Yeah.
And it actually delivers on the monster front too, which is something it didn't have to, but they do very well.
And they're fun. Even the monsters are fun. I mean, it's well balanced. It's you know, it's like early Pixar and its ability to have an adult and a child watch it and get different things out of it. And you know, just the things, of course, I wouldn't understand intrinsically, but just reading about how they take these you know, the Korean stereotypes of what, you know, is successful and in the different women that, you know, and actually use them as a critique of those different aspects of their personality and how they each epitomize this one thing. It's like overachieving, for example, these stereotypes and looking at those. Plus, it's also this fun movie about K-pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. The Japanese animation crowd seems to be very separate from a lot of other crowds and vice versa. You are correct, Mr. Fat Man. That is absolutely true. And Chris says, might sound weird, but some Don Bluth movies should be in the Criterion Collection. Not weird. Literally all of them. I adore them all, except for, okay, not all of them.
Like go back to when Criterion was doing Laserdisc and they had Akira.
Yep.
Which is, to me, still, you know, it is still, I like anime. It's still like, it's a fixed point in time. And there's before Akira and after Akira. And there's other things too, like Evangelion, to go back to Godzilla again.
Right.
But it's a fixed point in time. And, you know, to some of these points about animation should be more in the Criterion Collection, losing Akira. And I don't know the politics behind losing Akira, but that was disappointing.
Yeah, completely understandable. Completely. Loving the chat and all this surrounding the conversation. Keep it up. I agree with a lot of it. Certainly not all of it, but a lot of it. Next up, an interesting one. April 20th, we're getting a Blu-ray in the UK from Third Window, who release Japanese films literally entirely. And this is a new collection that they're doing called New Directors from Japan. This is Takashi Ono's I Am Baseball and Other Showa-inspired stories. Now, the way that Adam describes this is funny as hell. This is saying Takashi Ono's I Am Baseball was released in Tokyo Cinema Rosa on August 19, 2023. Cinema Rosa has been the current mecca for independent Japanese cinema and the birthplace of such successes as One Cut of the Dead and A Samurai in Time. I Am Baseball was a huge hit there, so much so that it continued to play in Japanese cinemas for more than an entire year, earning its tag of a Ranguran film, which is a long run, a film or play that is well received and continues to be performed for a long period of time. Despite his very young age and lack of proper budgets, Takashi Ono's style in I Am Baseball and his earlier student films recreate the late Showa era from the 50s to the 80s in a fun, charming way and are explored in this limited edition set of 4 films from the director. And based on all that, I feel like I need it. I feel like I got to see this stuff. Somebody said, is this anything like Moneyball? And the owner of Third Window responded and said, this is a movie about baseball by a guy that knows nothing about baseball. It's the opposite of Moneyball. And I went, okay, I have to own it.
Yeah, this is going to be amazing. I mean, you're talking to, you know.
What galaxy is the Guardians we need and deserve? Okay. Is the title on the top left a pink film? Cheating Office Lady Wet Galaxy? I mean, it sounds like it might be. It wouldn't surprise me. But when you zoom in on Pick It Up and Throw It Away, the picture they have there, oh boy. Yeah, I need to see these for sure. I am all in on this. Next up, May 18th on 4K from Studio Canal over in the UK. For the first time on 4K in the UK, Hell or High Water from 2016. They don't have these listed as new special features, but I can't find them on another release, so they might be new. Hell or High Water, have you seen the film?
I've not.
It is pretty damn good.
Really?
I think more people would like it. It's Ben Foster, Jeff Bridges, Chris Pine, from the writer of Sicario, who is blanking in my mind right now. He's the guy that did Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody in the chat is gonna answer before I'm back from this other tab and be Taylor Sheridan is his name. He's pretty damn great. Check it out. Damn good movie. It's a nice neo-Western heist movie.
Yeah, and Jeff Bridges kind of himself does no wrong as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, he really ties the film together. Next up, from last year, The Housemaid is getting a 4K steelbook over in the UK. This is not the design, obviously. It does say artwork to be confirmed. This would be really baffling if this was the cover art on this. Fun movie, a fairly interesting take on a modern erotic thriller, but it's good. It's not bad. Hey, we talked about another new show on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network. This week, we got another new one. It's the Sleepover Retro Countdown Show. Check this out. This is hosted by Rob and Guido. They are incredible. This absolutely amazing show is a fun time. It is high on nostalgia. This week, they did everything Scream, including best kills, counting down the films, all that other fun stuff. Go subscribe. You should immediately. Next is 10 to Midnight, starring Charles Bronson, coming to 4K on May 12th. Have you seen 10 to Midnight?
Yeah, but oh man, how long has it been?
This is from 1983.
I have no doubt that I have seen it. That's about all I can say. I mean,
this is a wild one.
I would have to sit and say, oh, hear the plot, then be like, oh yeah, I remember.
Serving up vigilante justice as only he can, tough guy legend Charles Bronson delivers one of his most riveting performances in this canon film classic. Bronson is Leo Kessler, a cynical LA cop on the trail of a cunning psycho whose genius for concocting airtight alibis is surpassed only by the horror of his erotic crimes. But the killer makes a fatal mistake, choosing the cop's spunky daughter as his #1 target and forcing Kessler to go rogue because of course.
Yeah, that's how it is. Also, Canon Films. That brings back memories just saying Canon Films.
Oh, yeah. You see that logo, and you know it's going to be a fun night.
You know what you're in for.
Every single time.
You have to admire the consistency.
That's true. Yeah, 10 to Midnight does have some scenes in the Bradbury building. That is true.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Next up, kind of an interesting release that pissed off a lot of people again. May 11th over in the UK, 88 Films is releasing Rounders on a Blu-ray. No 4K, and supposedly there is no 4K scan of this available. So that's why it's only Blu-ray. But this has never even been released on Blu-ray in the UK, I don't believe. So this is a pretty big thing for them. Good movie. Have you seen Rounders?
I've seen it. Yeah, it's a pretty good movie. It's been, oh my gosh, when did I see this? I don't remember, but I remember I enjoyed it. It's, yeah.
I do like the art on this that they chose. This is pretty fun.
Yeah, it's great with the playing with the buildings and
yeah. The edges on the poker chips really serve well to be the windows of the office.
The windows,
buildings. Yeah. Next up, also from 88 Films over there on May 11th, from 1993, Full Moon's Arcade. Arcade is a wild movie. Have you seen this one?
I've not.
This one is crazy, and even crazier maybe is it's written by David Goyer, which, yeah, very weird setup there. This says, reality will never be the same. Arcade is the ultimate gaming experience with state-of-the-art virtual reality systems that create a whole new player experience, but Arcade is dangerous. Arcade is a mind of its own, and as high schooler Alex and her friends are about to discover, Arcade doesn't like to lose.
Oh, dear. It sounds very much of its time.
Oh, it absolutely is. And very low budget. All the extras on this ported over, I believe. I don't think there's anything else new here. Well, actually, that is not true. I believe Megan Ward and Daniel Schweiger's here. That is new, I think. So, yeah, there must be some new stuff put on here. Very interesting movie. If you're into the low budget, schlocky era Full Moon, this is a fun one. Check it out. It is very of its time, but worth it. Speaking of being a little of its time and me not being okay with this cover art, May 11th, 4K release of Forbidden World from 1982, the Roger Corman produced classic, one that's been released, I don't know, 814 times on home video. It continues to come out for the first time on 4K in the UK. This one has a couple small new extras. We got new commentary with Eugenio Ercolani and Troy Howarth. A couple of interviews, I believe, on this are brand new. Forbidden World, you seen this one?
I have, and I'm sort of with you on the cover. I saw this cover image recently, and I didn't even realize what it was at first.
Yeah.
Now I could go on my cover art should in its way reflect what you're getting, but I mean, you know, you have to say it's Roger Corman, and then within it being Corman, did you enjoy it?
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I knew what I was getting into, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I had a lot of caveats there. You have to understand.
You did, yeah.
For what it is, it's
a good time.
I depending on my mood, I can really get into some B grade stuff.
Yeah.
D grade stuff even. I just, if I'm in the mood, I can sit down and say, okay, let's do this, and I can enjoy it. Yeah.
Chris, thanks for investigating. Yeah, that Full Moon arcade release from 88 has a few new extras, so it's worth it. Check it out. Next up, May 25th, the first Blu-ray release, I think, maybe anywhere in the world legally, The Hours from 2002. This is starring Meryl Streep, Julianne Moore, and Nicole Kidman. I can't find release of any extras, so there's probably nothing on the disc, but I believe it's an HD debut, which for a film from 2002 starring Meryl Streep, that should not be the case. How is this just now getting a Blu-ray? That is wild.
I mean, all three actresses, right?
Yeah, same.
It's,
Obviously, all three are amazing, but Meryl Streep is kind of
right.
that person. So
Yeah.
yeah. And yes, Nicole Kidman with her original face, but a fake nose in this. Terry's highlighting that is true.
Mhm.
All right, next up from 88 Films, Heroes 2 from 1974. This is coming on Blu-ray on May 25th. You get a commentary by David West, another one by Frank Jang and Blade Poe. There is an archival commentary by Lynn Hayes, and there is the Mandarin version, the English version, the new Mandarin version, and the new English version on this. Tony Rain speaks on Heroes 2, Made to be a Hero, interview with Chen Quan Tai, some credit sequences and all that stuff. Martial arts stuff. Are you into all of that as well?
I am. I'm trying. Honestly, while you've been talking, I've been sitting here trying to think: have I seen this movie? Because I've seen so many
Right.
martial arts movies, so many Shaw Brothers movies that probably I always say probably I've seen it. But I can't say. It's ballet to me, right?
Yeah.
It's ballet and it's fantasy and it's sorcery, and if they're well done, they're amazing movies.
Yeah. And the big thing here, directed by Chang Che, who's pretty damn great. That's a big name. Yes, I mean, to a point. Other than The River Wild, Meryl Streep was never much of a commercial actress. I mean, you say that, and then you look at something like The Devil Wears Prada, which sold all of the tickets ever. I would say that she's been quite commercial for much of her career.
She's great. And Only Murders in the Building too.
Yes.
Her little role,
absolutely,
she's amazing.
And I love this comment. Brendan says there's like 80 Shaw Brothers movies with the word heroes in the title.
Yeah,
and it's just from 1983.
Yeah, I mean, there are just so many of them. And that doesn't,
so many. Yeah, Meryl Streep is great in Death Becomes Her. Love that movie.
She has more of a range than she's usually allowed to play, maybe even.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, Death Becomes Her is great.
May 5th, we are getting a Blu-ray and DVD here in the U.S. from Vertical Entertainment of 2025's Dracula. There's been a lot of movies in the last couple of years that have come out about vampires, about Dracula, Nosferatus, all those things. This is the one directed by Luc Besson, which for some people, that's a line in the sand that they're not willing to cross, and completely understandable considering, the whole pedophilia aspect. But what's interesting here is if you're really dying to have this movie, I want to throw out that Vertical Entertainment seems to have canceled the release of Eden that they announced on Blu-ray to come out a few months ago. And I have a feeling that's because few people pre-ordered. So this is one of those things. I'm not here to FOMO you or anything like that, but if you really want this movie, you may want to pre-order just in case they are counting on those numbers and having people purchase something so that they don't cancel it, which sucks.
Yeah.
I'm very kind of curious to see this. Christoph Waltz in it, Caleb Landry Jones, but then there's
I'm with you on this. I saw things about the movie, I saw like scenes and just think, like you say, Christoph Waltz. I'm like, well, I don't know if this will be good, but it at least looks interesting. I was like, oh, it's Luc Besson, whom I used to really enjoy.
Yeah, understandable.
It becomes a difficult thing when he's attached to it. And I would, if I saw it, I would have no expectations to be part of it. But with him attached, then there's all the, it would be difficult to watch it and not think about who it is.
Yeah. My favorite comment of the week, I think, is somebody said in this, Dracula looks like Tommy Wiseau, and now I can't not see it when looking at this cover art.
Yeah.
Next up, the HBO show A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. The complete first season is coming to 4K, Blu-ray, DVD in the US here on June 16th. It's also getting a UK Steelbook, so we'll talk about that in just a moment. For those that don't know, this is the third series in the Game of Thrones universe. Yeah, we'll talk about the show in just a minute. But first, Sleepers from 1996. We got some details on. This is a 4K steelbook coming out on April 21st, and this is the standard 4K coming out on the same day. This is a 4K restoration of the film with Dolby Vision, and no new extras. I believe everything on here is still from the old release of this. Have you seen Sleepers ever?
I have seen Sleepers. It has been a long time. I can't say I was that impressed with it when I saw it, to be honest.
I can't even remember if I've seen this. I think I may have, but I
think you're sort of making my point. Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a hell of a cast, I will say that.
Yeah.
And then Terry in the chat confirms it's a mid-movie at best.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Eddie says he needs to take a shower every time he watches Sleepers. But if that's the case, why are you watching it so much? All right. In supposedly the very opposite side of the happy spectrum of this is Sleepers, and now on the other side, Song Sung Blue from last year is getting a 4K Blu-ray and DVD release in the UK on April 6th. This is semi-notable because the US is not getting a 4K release from Universal, but the UK is getting a 4K release from Universal. So kind of weird that they're doing the 4K and not the US, but here we are. Did you get a chance to see this one?
It was not of interest, if I'm being honest.
I have heard the exact same thing, and I felt the same, but people that I trust said that they watched it just in case for Oscars and all that stuff. Everybody that has seen it has said that this is shockingly great, which blew me away. I was like, really? This movie?
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. Couchy in the chat just said it's a pleasant surprise.
Well, so there you go. I mean, I love being surprised when I see something.
Me as well.
It is one I was going to pass on. Maybe I won't now.
Here we are, changing people's thoughts on
it's beautiful,
Hudson.
man.
Next up, one that I am kind of curious to see, especially because Liam Neeson looks like he might be having fun for the first time in 38 years. We got a 4K Blu-ray and DVD release coming in the UK from Studio Canal of Cold Storage from 2026. I love that I say he's having fun for the first time when just last year he did a Naked Gun movie, but I gotta be honest, he didn't look to be having much fun in that movie. Yeah, this looks fun. Joe Keery looks interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I know nothing about it, but I mean, Liam Neeson having fun usually is a great time. So
I would agree
when he's doing it. Yeah.
Next, another show I've heard is very good, but I've not seen. April 21st, a Blu-ray coming in the US, and April 20th in the UK. Also, there will be a DVD release, but this is Task, the complete first season. There is a second season coming, but this is a Mark Ruffalo starring show that's supposed to be just genuinely great. I'm quite interested to see what this is like. I can't, in my mind, for some reason, picture Mark Ruffalo playing an FBI agent, but it looks very well made, at least. Task was previously called Job. It's a very easy joke. Next up, this is a re-release, so we don't need to cover this. Hey, going down the interesting side of things, May 1st, there's a Blu-ray coming from the Ultra Flesh archives of Endless Ecstasy, Volume 1. This is a never-ending collection of classic 8mm and Super 8mm films transferred and restored in HD of adult films from the 70s and 80s. Hey, Richard, how's your thoughts on adult films?
I was waiting on that. The thing I'm curious about is this whole never-ending collection of 8mm films. I'm like, that sounds horrifying to me personally. But it also shows, I'll say no more than it also shows my age. I just want to look at the featuring on there and I see names I recognize. I'm like, yeah. Long Dong Silver. I get it.
Yeah. Terry wants to know if we have to time travel to 1980s Times Square to watch this one. No, you can check it out on Blu-ray on May 1st. I think all will be fine.
You know, what will Blu-ray do to that little 8mm Ultra Flesh Archives film, we wonder too?
Quite a lot, actually.
I'm not sure better is the word we're looking for, but
yeah, that's all I said was a lot. No, I never said a lot better. I think this might be one of the worst pieces of cover art from the entire year. This is wild. This says March 31st, Amazon and MGM is putting out a Blu-ray and DVD release of The Great Smoky Roadblock. As an artist, Richard, how do you feel about this cover?
Should I just talk about the cover or the broader idea of just photoshopping photos with a logo and calling yourself done?
Tell me about it, please.
Well, I mean, all the movie posters look the same. They're all the same colors. They're all the same floating heads. They're very much. It's very much a thing that is market tested. There'll never be another Drew Struzan. There'll never be another. I could go on back.
Yeah.
This is a prime example of it. Another thing about this is the cast is very confusing to me.
Yeah, we should say Henry Fonda, Susan Sarandon, Robert Englund, Eileen Brennan, and then Dub Taylor. And first of all, I got to ask, why do you put Dub Taylor on the cover of a movie ever? He is not photogenic like that.
It's there. Yeah, you still have me thinking about cover art now. It's terrible. It's very orange. It's orange. I'll give it that. It is a sunset. It's a sunset. Boy.
I don't know how to feel about this. This was released previously by Code Red. The cover art on that one, much better than this one. I don't know. The big thing, I want movies to be accessible. I'm glad it will be released and people have a chance to watch it. But good Lord, this cover art is, to put it nicely, an abomination.
It's gosh. Anyway, yeah.
I mean, I don't really expect much more from an Amazon-owned studio, but alas, here we are. Next up, one that is quite intriguing to me, actually. May 26th, there's a Blu-ray coming in the U.S. from Altered Innocence of the film from 2025 called A Body to Live In. This is an uncompromising look at the rise of BDSM performance art, body modification, and the modern primitives cultural movement through the agonies and ecstasies of transgressive artist Fakir Musafar and the communities that surrounded him. Blending rare archival footage with the voices of queer and artistic trailblazers, the film shows how pain, ritual, and transformation became tools of identity, survival, and self-expression. Weaving from early experiments and secret gatherings to the emergence of a global subculture shaped by the AIDS crisis and spiritual reinvention, the director Angelo Madsen, who reveals not just the story of one artist, but a collective history of bodies in revolt, asking what it truly means to live freely in one's own skin. So there's extended interviews here with people like Andy Sprinkle, extended deleted interviews with the Dexa Stern, a photo gallery, theatrical trailers, some other trailers. But either way, this movie looks crazy. I'm very curious to check this out. That's for sure.
Same. I just hope it's respectful. I don't know anything about the movie. But there's, it's a whole subculture. There are people involved with it that are very, it's cathartic for them in different ways, which comes out, I think, in your description a bit. And so that's the one thing when I see it is like, this could be really interesting. It could be really informative, if done respectfully.
Knowing the company that put it out, I guarantee you it is respectful. It is not.
And I couch all that saying I don't know anything about the movie, but I saw the art for this earlier as well. And I'm like, well, this actually looks really interesting.
Yes, I am very curious to see this one. This is going to be an interesting time for sure.
Yeah.
Next up, another oscilloscope. We don't get a lot of announcements from Oscilloscope, and we get 3 in 1 week for Richard. Coming April 7th on Blu-ray here in the U.S. is Peacock from 2024. This has 2 short films from Bernard Wenger on it, filmed Q&A with the director, moderated by Jordan Crucchiola, and a trailer. I've heard good things about this one. Sounds pretty interesting. It's a biting and hilarious social satire about the masks we wear and the pursuit of human connection. Just perfect. Very curious to check this out.
Same.
Next up, there is a fundraiser going over on Kickstarter for Classic Flicks, who is doing a campaign to raise funds for Laurel and Hardy. That's the wrong title that I typed there. To the Restored Features Volume 2 is what it's called. You can check this out now. I think they're like half funded, if not maybe even a little bit more already. They are doing a lot of great work. Classic cinema like Laurel and Hardy. Is that something that you watch often or are into?
Very often. I actually was just sitting here thinking, is like it's interesting to me that there needs to be a fundraiser to release Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah.
But yeah, classic cinema. I think I mentioned earlier Casablanca being my favorite movie.
Yeah.
I love Laurel and Hardy. So yeah, I'm sitting here kind of quiet looking at it. So I'm still like, well, yeah, I'm hope it's going well. It sounds like it is from what you're saying, but it's interesting they need to do this, and I don't understand why.
Because restoration is expensive, and not a lot of people buy the discs, unfortunately.
And I've seen this with books too, where there's a major publisher is going to do a book, but they Kickstarter or sometimes use other platforms, but they do Kickstarter to cover their publishing and pre-orders to cover creating the book, which is interesting.
Yeah. It sucks, but we're in a world that needs that. So much so that the next thing we're going to talk about is a Kickstarter campaign for the film Riverbend, which you'll recognize is a film that we've talked about on here before. The pre-order was up for this movie, and it got pushed to do a few more extras, so there's a slight delay on the release, but they also need some finishing funds for Riverbend. So you can check this out. This is another fundraiser that's doing pretty well. They need very little for this, just 10 grand, and I think it's at least halfway funded by now. This is a pretty incredible film, and there's an interview going up on the channel, I believe tomorrow, that is covering this film, directed by Sam Furstenberg, who did a couple of the ninja movies in the 80s. He did Break In and Break In 2, Electric Boogaloo. Sam is just absolutely amazing, and Michael Dennis's work on getting this film out to the masses after it's been essentially like held down in multiple different ways, which we talk about in the interview, is a captivating story, one that I hope people, take heed to listen to and see this film, because first of all, this is a 6K restoration, which is not something that most films get, but to get it for something like this that has been unavailable to be seen for almost 30 plus years is wild. And Adam says, you had me at Furstenberg, and I think that should be most people's thoughts. I got to say, Sam Furstenberg is one of the most delightful people to speak to. He has turned into a bit of a carpenter, and he was showing me around his kitchen all of the things that he's made that are super ornate, and God, the guy is so talented. Next up, the film that is a nothing burger in every case, it seems. April 7th, we're getting a 4K Blu-ray and DVD from MGM again, of Mercy from this year, the film about Chris Pratt sitting in a chair for almost the entire runtime talking about AI, and the cover itself almost looks like Chris Pratt is animated by AI. That doesn't look good at all. It looks sort of uncanny valley. Any thoughts on Chris Pratt or AI? How do you feel about AI, Richard? Let's unpack that real quick.
Oh gosh. Okay, AI. I have two different paths of thought about that. The first one is there's nothing good about it. It's just plagiarism. It's just copyright violation. It's terrible. I'm speaking from the artist side of it. No one's ever been able to explain to me how for art you can use AI in a way that is ethical.
Because you can't.
Right. I mean, that's the short and sweet of something that is things that I have fought people over. Because it's very much, authors or TV Blu-ray companies might say, well, why would I pay someone when I can take 5 minutes, put in what I actually want and spit it out?
Yeah.
And that's real. And that's what they say. It's like, well, number one, does that mean your idea is really worth it? And is it worth it to you? And is it good enough to put out there? And also you're stealing from probably in one shot, multiple artists. My art's been harvested for AI before. And it's not like I'm a well-known name by any shot. And my point being, if they're going to harvest my art, then who else is getting? So there's
right.
that. broader about AI. So I also have a background in programming, so I know exactly how this stuff works. Um, and it does not work well. I will not get into it because it's off topic, but I trust AI about this, including Chat GPT and things like that. I trust it as far as I trust the self-driving car because again, I have a programming background, so I know exactly where these things can go wrong. Yeah, it's terrible. It's all terrible.
You know what's hilarious is I was kidding about your take on AI, but I'm so glad that you went into it.
Oh,
It's important.
From the
Generative.
different, there's. I mean, I will already have forgotten the names because, as I mentioned to Ryan off camera, I have terrible short-term memory. Yeah, there you go. You're a friend of mine then. There's an AI company that's working with the Pentagon right now, and they just backed out because the Pentagon. Well, they're in talks. They're trying to back out because the Pentagon wants them to the AI to start being able to do autonomous killing of people.
Yeah.
And as I said, I know where these things can go wrong. So there's art or otherwise, there's really nothing good that's coming out of AI. Why are they not? Why are they stealing art and not,
right?
Curing cancer?
Yeah, I agree. So, not much else to say. Just fuck AI.
Yeah, I could have been so much straightforward about it.
Quite the opposite of AI. Let's talk about how Eureka is releasing The General from 1926 on 4K UHD here on May 18th in the UK. Just a remarkable change of pace to go from Chris Pratt in a chair-sitting movie into Buster Keaton in one of the most classic films of all time, The General. This is limited to 2,000 units. We've got a booklet in this with archival material and essays by Philip Kemp. We got a new audio commentary by David Collott, new visual essay on The General by Imogen Sarah Smith, who does great work for Criterion. We've got new visual essays on locomotives and films of Buster Keaton by Luke Ryan, and then some archival extras that have been on the previous releases. Any thoughts on Buster Keaton?
Love Buster Keaton. The General is a great movie. I sometimes think Buster Keaton does not get the credit he deserves anymore. I think people, I don't know why. I can't even hypothesize upon why. It's interesting because I always I also really enjoy Charlie Chaplin, but I feel he, for some reason, gets more credit than Buster Keaton, and I don't really understand why. I don't really understand. I don't understand why. I mean, because to me, it all goes back to Buster Keaton, and he was also very much someone about control. And I mean, there's comparisons there. I mean, it's a different comedy to me.
Yeah.
But they're both artists and both damn good. And so I sometimes wonder, like, General isn't a great, amazing movie, but how many people are going to know that compared to modern times, for example?
That is true.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that's another. Yeah, someone just mentioned he was crapped on by Hollywood again, like Chaplin.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, great movie. 4K seems like a must. Yeah, not much else to say. It's Buster Keaton. Like, what else do you say? Hey, I've had some people complain about the art. How do you feel about the art on this one as an artist, sir?
I like it. I think it's simple, bold, tells you about what it is. The colors work well together. I'm getting techie in a weird way. It doesn't leap out to me as
it's unique. I like it.
Yeah, it doesn't leap out to me as that's the Buster Keaton, but it's unique for what it is. It reflects the movie, and it's easy to read.
I agree. Let's see. Looking at the chat. Madhouse. I answered your question earlier there, Madhouse, about castration movie. All right. Next up, also from Eureka on May 18th, only in the UK as well, is Cecil is Dead from 1944. This is directed by an unsung master of French cinema, meeting an undisputed master of detective fiction, and Cecil is Dead as Maurice Tournier brings George Simenon's crime novel to the screen. This is going to be limited to 2,000 copies. We've got a book of new writing on the film by Andrew Watts. We've got a New commentary by Sergio Angelini, host of the Tipping My Fedora podcast. New discussion of Inspector Maygrave from Page to Screen with the film historian Martin Hall. Are you into this era of French film?
I will own this.
Nice.
Every name you mentioned is a name that I enjoy and respect. I can't say that I've seen it. I will see it. It's
Yep.
It's a wonderful. I see people still talking about Keaton Good. The cover's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one. Yeah, I don't know how much else I have to say. It's going to be good.
Eureka does great work. Not to be like, hey, just speaking this out into the ether or anything, but I feel like they would be a perfect match for your style on some of their covers. So,
thank you.
Eureka should reach out to Richard Cox, please. Next up, Trace of Stones, another DIFA Foundation film. This is coming out on May 18th in the UK only. This is from 1966. And this says, in the mid-1960s, 11 films produced by DIFA, the state-operated film studio of the German Democratic Republic, were either pulled from theaters or barred from release due to their supposedly anti-socialist themes. The most infamous of these films was this film, Trace of Stones, an intense and accomplished political drama directed by one of East Germany's most talented filmmakers, Frank Bayer. Let's see. This one is going to be limited to 2,000 copies. We got a booklet in this with new writing by DIFA expert Michael Waddell. We've got the 11th Plenum, a cultural devastation, substantial archival documentary on the 11th Plenum, which resulted in the banning of several DIFA productions, including Trace of Stones. There's a feature-length archival doc on the Trace of Stones director. There is Children's Home from 1978, a DIFA documentary on the residents of an East German children's home banned until after the fall of the Berlin Wall. This sounds very interesting, and I definitely need this movie.
Yeah, it sounds great. It sounds like the going to Germany. It makes me think of the. It sounds like a movie I'd be interested in because the thing I'm usually interested in is movies made during the Weimar Republic in Germany.
Yeah,
German expressionism, very different style. I'm not making a stylistic comparison, but the political background in the real world around these movies sometimes informs them in a way that you can't ignore.
Yeah.
And even we did the German express. I mean, that German expressionism is very much one of the things Hitler was he would always talk about would be, of course, coming up with the great German art, and what he was really looking at was this, unsurprisingly, this neo-Roman sort of thing, while this new and original German art was happening right behind him, and they were being persecuted in all the horrible ways the Nazis did persecution. The same sorts of things were running through my mind when you were talking about Trace of Stones, which is a movie I will obviously, from what I'm saying, be very interested in.
Nice. So yeah, this looks great. Check it out. You can pre-order this now. Next up, we had already talked about the show a minute ago, but now I'll ask your opinion. June 15th in the UK, we are getting A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Like I said, this is the third of the Game of Thrones shows. Have you watched Game of Thrones or any of these?
I've seen the first two series. I've not seen A Night of the Seven Kingdoms yet. Chances are I probably won't see it until they're good and done with the season. I can just sit and plow through it like it's a movie.
Yep. Whoops, that was a weird click.
We can keep going.
No, it went to IMDb. I think it's just taking what I normally would do for some reason.
Without getting into it, I liked Game of Thrones not as much as a lot of people did. House of the Dragon, yeah. I actually like that a good bit so far.
I will happily admit ignorance here. I have only seen like a couple clips that were maybe 30 seconds of anything related to Game of Thrones. Yeah. I have not been succumbed to the pressure yet. I do want to see it eventually. I've heard it's pretty great, but I need to check it out. And then finally, throwing everything we've talked about completely on its head, let's talk about Frankenhooker. This is the last announcement of the week. April 7th, Synapse is releasing a 4K of Frankenhooker from 1990, directed by the one and only Frank Henenlotter, starring Patty Mullen. with the classic VHS cassette cover where there was a button that if you pressed it, it said "Want a Date," and this thing is great because it's going to be a brand new 4K Dolby Vision release of this. It's going to be an exclusive side-loading chipboard slipcase, limited to 5,000 copies, only available from Synapse, Diabolic DVD, and Orbit DVD. When it sells out, there will be a retail release, but this is where it gets a little bit controversial because I'm going to say I'm kind of really let down by this. This was released on Blu-ray by Synapse 15 years ago, and they did not do any brand new special features in the last 15 years for this film. And so, yes, it'll be a very good-looking 4K disc, but this thing, before shipping, by itself, $50. And so after shipping from Synapse's site, this is $60 to ship to you. And yes, you do get a brand new 4K disc, and that's great. It'll look amazing. I'm sure nothing against that. However, nothing else new on it. And yet, over in the UK, Refuse Films just released this with 3 versions of the film, including a work print, new special features, a plethora of on-disc supplements, and all of that is less than $20. Or you could buy this brand new 4K disc for $60.
Wow. It says a lot about. I wonder if any of it's licensing rights, but that doesn't really say much about the cost, does it?
It's not due to licensing. I can tell you that right now.
That's pretty unfortunate. I see Frankenhooker, which is a fun movie. I used to work in Blockbuster Video after I got out of college, and I always loved the B movie section. It was the foreign movie section I was knee deep in, and then the B movie section. And those are such associations I have with Frankenhooker. And when I saw Arcade earlier, these are the things I think of. That's what. Well, that and of course there's HBO at 2 a.m, right, when they start showing fun stuff. $60.
$60 is a lot. If it doesn't say "Want a Date," I'm not buying it. I would agree, Cinema Force. If they had a button that says "Want a Date," I would be much more enthusiastic about this. Ronnie wants to know, what is a chipboard box? It's just a fancy way of saying one of the hard boxes. That's not like flimsy to the touch. So yeah, if you're super into the hard boxes, this is great. But not for $60 for me.
Unless you're a Frankenhooker enthusiast, I suppose.
And it's good. Like, I'm not putting down the movie. I love it. I would love to own a 4K disc. And I will own a 4K disc someday, but it will not be this one for $60. That's for sure. Whateverism says Refuse's Frankenhooker is $38. Where do I get it less than 20? It's been less than 20 multiple times. It's been on sale multiple times. It is they had a bundle available for only like $75 shipped, where you could get that and 2 other films. So it's been, and that was on like pre-order, I believe. So yeah, it's all, you can get it for way less than $38. That's for sure. I mean, some of those deals might be gone now, but yes, not that thing. Yeah. Anyways, let's just in case you forgot, let's talk about what is happening next week on physical media. Zootopia 2 4K Steelbook, which is very odd because it has disappeared from Amazon. I know a lot of people are talking about buying this on Amazon, and you cannot. And I am very curious why it disappeared. But we don't know. The brand new Running Man movie from Edgar Wright is coming out next week. We got the 4K, we've got the 4K Steelbook, Blu-ray, and all that fun stuff. Hamnet coming out on 4K next week. Cobra Kai, the complete series. Speaking of Netflix things that are coming out on disc. Kung Fu Panda 3 making its 4K debut. The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, I showed that one earlier. The Swordsman trilogy on 4K from Shout Factory. Star Trek Strange New World Season 3 Steelbook. We've got The Wild Robot getting a brand new fancy 4K Steelbook. We talked about that movie tonight, too. Piranha 4K Steelbook. This is the original Piranha. Lurker coming out from Mubi. The Last Screening, which is like a brand new Neo Giallo coming from TerraVision. This should be shipping by literally next week. So yes, this is accurate. Check that out. Ella McKay dropping next week. Fun, interesting, weird, quirky movie, but that was also maybe not the best. Chainsaw Man Season 1 coming out next week. Merrily We Roll Along, a pretty decent musical coming out next week. Best Worst Movie, The American Scream, not shipping next week. That should be probably a week after that. Same with The Basement Anthology. I think that's the bulk of the big new things. The Young Doctors coming out from MGM next week, and then a whole bunch of AI covers here at the bottom. Any thoughts on any of these big movies? I heard a laugh at Piranha.
I saw Piranha many times when I was younger. I'm a big fan of Chainsaw Man. I'm curious about Best Worst Movie.
It is a horror movie about making Troll 2.
That sounds even better.
It's a documentary, and The American Scream is another documentary. And what's really cool, they put both of those together and then threw in 3 bonus movies on the disc.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay.
So you're getting 5 movies for literally like $30, $35, something like that.
That's awesome.
Speaking of that last film being $60 that we were talking about.
$60. Yeah, Wild Robot. Totally would recommend that to anybody.
Yeah, great movie. Yeah, seems like a solid week. Nothing huge, but yeah.
Swordsman trilogy too. I haven't seen that, but I've been curious to see that.
Well, now is the time. That is for
Indeed.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of some Japanese films, let's get into some interesting things because tonight we're talking about kaiju. Richard, how do you define kaiju?
How do I define kaiju?
Yes.
So, kaiju. So the problem is you put 3 or 4 people in the room, they're all going to probably define kaiju differently.
Yeah.
My definition. So kaiju itself basically means, the translation is strange creature. Not monster, creature.
Right.
Daikaiju, which is mostly what we'd be talking about, is giant creature. Oh, look, someone watched Chainsaw Man. Daikaiju movies and kaiju movies are basically the same thing. It's sort of over the years gotten shrunk down to kaiju.
Yeah.
But so when you talk about, so what is a kaiju? So kaiju movies they're a subgenre of tokusatsu, which we talked about. Where it starts. So if you're saying kaiju, that in theory isn't giant monsters. It could be, man-sized monsters in theory.
Yep.
But really for the most part, we're talking about the giant monsters.
Yep.
Where it becomes a question is, okay, and people say it's about anime too, does it have to be Japanese? When Netflix says they have a new anime, is it really anime, or is there something intrinsically Japanese about what we're talking about? So this is where I preface this saying, so what we're saying is my opinion, and what that really is, just to rattle some off. If it's a Japanese, does that mean movies like Gorgo, Reptilicus,
Right.
Yongari, King Kong, Pacific Rim, Cloverfield, the legendary Godzilla movies, are these kaiju movies? I say they're not, actually. They check off all the boxes, but to me there's something very Japanese about it, because it sort of gets into without getting too deep, it gets into, there's a aspect of it's very much about the spiritual parts of Japan.
Yeah.
And things like yokai and things like guardian monsters and, Godzilla 54, which arguably is it's the first kaiju movie that survives. There's one called The Great Buddha Arrival that doesn't exist anymore, that came out in the mid-30s. Giant Buddha in the city. There's pictures.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been made anywhere else, right? Because, outside of Japan, it was giant monsters. It was a giant, King Kong was just a giant ape until there was a Japanese version. And so what you want about the suit from Godzilla, King Kong versus Godzilla, it was definitely not just a big gorilla anymore. You had giant irradiated ants. Them is an awesome giant monster movie. But they're not kaiju. There's not that extra dimension to them that to me is kaiju. And that's what I'm stressing. To me personally, if it's not Japanese, I have a difficult time calling them kaiju movies. But that's me. And it is an ongoing. It is an ongoing. It is an ongoing question. I mean, to me, there's something intrinsic to what is behind the creation of the movies and why they're doing them that makes it important to me personally. That said, that there are subgenre of tokusatsu, which is Japanese special effects movies, but Japanese special effects movies and TV. The TV is arguably much more important than the movies, but that covers things like the hero shows and from what we know as Power Rangers to the Kamen Riders to the Ultraman. It's all tokusatsu. You showed what would probably be considered tokusatsu in some of the previews earlier.
Yeah.
So it tends to be there tends to be metaphor. They don't have to be serious to still be have metaphor. I mean, when you start getting into some of the '60s Godzilla movies, they really become fun. But there's still important metaphor in there. It's not just a monster attacking a city or a mountainside because he's a giant radiant monster. There's something happening there.
Yeah.
So that's my attempt to say, to me, what a kaiju and daikaiju movie, TV series, whatever it is why to me it's intrinsically Japanese. I don't think these movies could have been made anywhere else, which of course goes right back to we dropped 2 bombs on them. But the point is there's a unique experience and something grows out of that. It somehow has become this multinational, international thing. And it's interesting too that these are movies, Godzilla -1 being an obvious outlier that they get laughed at now. But if you compare the special effects and the plots even, from some of the movies from the same period, the 1960s, which was kind of the golden age of this stuff. Most of the movies I'll talk about from this period, it's incomparable what they accomplished, especially when you consider they were a small island with limited budgets, and they were doing these amazing things. I mean, people give Marvel a lot of credit for their world building and their shared universes, but I mean, Toho with the Toho movies, which was Godzilla, and the ones that weren't Godzilla, like Rodan and Mothra, they started in their own movies. And then they came into Godzilla movies. And then eventually by 1968, you have a movie called Destroy All Monsters, which is all of these monsters coming together on behalf of the Earth to fight the alien invaders and King Ghidorah. I mean, that sounds vaguely like we were talking about the Avengers Infinity War stuff. They're not given their due for what they are and how long they've been around. Godzilla and otherwise. I mean, this is there's been more Godzilla than James Bond. Has there ever been a genre that's been more adaptable? They're serious. They're serious, very, very somber, serious movies, and then there's ones with star creatures with a giant eye in the middle wandering through space, and there's ones that are allegories for alienation and being bullied as a kid. It's Godzilla himself going from a nuclear nightmare to children's best friend. That's a Gamera line, basically. But I mean, cheering him on as a hero, and that happened inside of 10 years, maybe a little longer, maybe 11 or 12 years. But point being, I mean, Godzilla and the genre is so flexible and so able to adapt. It's very unique, which circles back around.
Right, and we had a question earlier about the Power Rangers monsters. Are they kaiju? And I would imagine, I have a feeling that a lot more people would define those closer to tokusatsu broadly.
Yeah, yeah. You could. There are arguments you could make about that because again, what's a kaiju versus a daikaiju?
Right.
Um, but what you get. So you get into Ultraman, right? We're all still talking about giants here, but they specifically break out. These are ultra kaiju, and talking about the Power Rangers, you've got Kamen Rider. So we're talking about TV
Right.
shows, and they're also human size, and they're the villains. It's a good question. I mean, are they beasts? Are they strange creatures, or are they Seigen, which would be aliens or human-like creatures? There are people who know these things much better than I do. I have opinions, but there's a beautiful book that came out recently. It's this thick about the history of Godzilla, for example. Wonderful authors, friends of mine. They know much more than I do. So yeah, defining these things can be hard. I mean, you're talking about a genre that's been around. If you just count Japanese, 54. If you count 20,000 Fathoms, which influenced Godzilla as well as Kong from 33, you can stretch these giant monster movies way back.
Right.
Before that, even Journey Through Time and things like that.
So, what is the first kaiju film that you saw growing up?
Oh, I don't know. So I can tell you, it wasn't Godzilla that first really got me interested in this. It was Ultraman, seems much more popular in Japan than Godzilla. But for me, it was coming home from school, elementary school, to watch on UHF. This will explain a lot of me and hearing me talk. It was first Star Blazers, then Speed Racer, and then right after that, Ultraman, and then dinner. And it was yeah, I love the anime shows. I still think to this day Star Blazers might be the best anime ever done. And that's possibly because of my age and when it was, but hitting Ultraman, which was intended for kids, but had these moments, as stark moments of adulthood in it. And I'm watching these things that are like, well, he just used this energy weapon, split this monster in half, and there's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? But I loved it. I mean, something about it, like I tell people, I loved Star Wars growing up. I did. I'm of that age. But then I found Ultraman. And something, I can't even tell you what it is, something about him. He's basically the Superman of Japanese sci-fi, really. Something about Ultraman clicked with me as a kid. And I don't know what, to this day, I don't know why I love these things so much. But something about them resonates with me. And so there was that. And of course, then it was on the weekends. I think the ones I remember were the ones from the 70s because they were hitting TV on the weekends. You had the matinee movies. So it was the ones like Godzilla versus Megalon,
Yeah.
which is arguably the worst of the lot. People love it now because we've grown up and we'll fight for the ones we saw as a child, but it's arguably the worst of them. The Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla movies, those are actually, I think, good. So it was really and then it was like, sometimes the 60s ones would show up. But it was really those 70s ones that I saw. And that was, they're the ones that really hooked me on it. But, it's because it was the 70s Godzilla movies, just getting to Japan, there was a depression and the oil prices were horrifying for everybody. It was hitting them really hard. The money wasn't there anymore. People weren't going to the movies. They were watching TV. It was watching Kamen Rider and they're watching Ultraman and all these other ones I could name that are the superhero stuff, basically.
You had mentioned the History of Godzilla book. I believe this is the one you're talking about, right? The
Amazing
first 30
book.
years.
Yeah, amazing book. It's a great book. And these are guys who know what they're talking about. Steve Reich, Ed Godzinski. I'm going to mispronounce it because and he's going to hate me for it, but yeah.
I'm putting the link in the chat there if anybody wants to check out this book.
It's a giant hardcover book. It's got behind the scenes photos. They went to Japan and they know people in Japan who are involved with the movies. They've been on sets before. They've written other books. Ed's an author and the primary editor of a fanzine called Japanese Giants, it's very much, it's defunct. It's been defunct for a long time. But to me, it was very much, a fanzine that treated kaiju like cinema. It wasn't, your standard sort of fanzine type thing. It was thoughtful articles about these movies.
Right.
And I can't recommend this book enough. It's a great book.
Have you read this one from Graham Skipper a couple years ago?
I have not.
This one is pretty decent, and it's getting an update, I believe, this year. And
Cool.
He worked directly with Toho, so another one to check out. I'll put the link for that one in the chat as well if you're into it. I need to get the one that you're talking about. I've got the Graham Skipper one, but yeah, I need to get that first one.
It's a great book. It really is.
I've heard nothing but positive things.
It's well worth it. Giant, thick hardcover.
Yes.
Yeah. So for all these reasons, it's like, what's a kaiju and what's a kaiju movie?
Yeah.
Tough to say. But those are my boundaries for what I consider kaiju.
It's good to have all the boundaries. I mean, it's one of those things where, depending on who you ask, you're going to get a different definition. So getting like a top 10 favorite kaiju list is not going to be easy. But tonight, we've got a Richard Recommends section, and we're going to hear about some kaiju films that Richard recommends, including one TV show. So let's hear about the first of these titles, because I will happily admit I am very behind on most of these. I've seen a fair share of Godzilla, but that's pretty much it.
I'll say ahead of time that you and I decided that we were going to stay away from Godzilla.
Yes.
Because otherwise, there would probably 6 of these would have to be Godzilla. So I took 3 Godzilla movies in number 1, specifically to say Godzilla. And I tried to cover 3 different eras. Godzilla 54, you have to.
Yeah.
Not just because it's Godzilla, because a number of reasons. Number 1, it stars Takashi Shimura. If you know who he is, he's a mainstay of Kurosawa movies.
Yep.
Amazing actor. If you haven't seen Akira, let alone Seven Samurai and the others. I think he's in Stray Dog too, but
yeah,
he's an amazing actor, and he's in Godzilla. But you're again looking at what I was talking about earlier. You're also seeing post-war Japan and things they're struggling with there. But you also have Godzilla 1954, which is, if you're really curious, you can also watch the Raymond Burr version just to see what they cut out. But as an example, one of the things they cut out, as if I'm remembering correctly, how much than ever, is a woman with a Geiger counter in front of a little child, and it's going crazy. I mean, it's a very somber movie, done very well about a couple of other things, and gosh, how deep do I want to get in? Do you want to get into this? But fishing boat was exposed to fallout from this is what really happened. Lucky Dragon, the fishing boat was exposed to radiation fallout from nuclear tests that the U.S. was doing, and by the time they make it back to Japan, they were dying. And that was an immediate influence for this movie that then grew into talking about, metaphorically Hiroshima and Nagasaki and post-war Japan and all of that. And it set the rules, a lot of the rules going forward as well. It's, and it's got that team that I'll talk forever about of Honda and Tsuburaya. Honda, who, if you're not even interested in kaiju, he was great friends with Kurosawa. They went to school together, if I remember. I could be so wrong about that, but they were at Toho together and they were friends. And Honda, in Kurosawa's later years, became his assistant director, basically.
Yeah.
And I think he basically did direct one of the shorts in Kurosawa's Dreams. If I'm remembering, because Honda fought in the war in Asia. So if you've seen Kurosawa's Dreams, the tunnel, I don't want to say anything more about the tunnel. It's actually my favorite of that movie, but short in that movie. But if I'm remembering correctly, and I'm sure there's someone here who can correct me if I'm wrong, Honda really, really directed that. But anyway, Tsuburaya is like special effects director, in short, and kind of a genius. Um, Clever. No one had done what he'd done before. Um, Another person who doesn't get his due for what he really accomplished, because of prejudices against Japanese science fiction, in short. Um, and they were both this is they both done work before, but they were like the zeitgeist on Godzilla 54 and kaiju movies and TV going forward. And so you're seeing them in their relative youth going, um, and producing something that's pretty amazing. So Godzilla 54. Then I jumped, I would say, if you want one of the fun ones, it might be my favorite Godzilla movie to just sit and watch, is Monster Zero from the 60s. It's a Godzilla, and it's a Rodan, and it's a King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
And it's got the coolest alien designs you will ever see in a science fiction movie. I challenge you to find some cooler, with their black high collars and their little, Cyclops goggles and their pointy head. They're my favorite ever. They're the best. And it's an alien invasion story, and it's, it's fun, but it also gets into, of course, some things with metaphor, but, the monsters from Planet X, and they have to, fight the aliens. They have to come together and fight the aliens and King Ghidorah, basically, in short. But it's fun. It's got great aliens. It's, again, Honda and Tsuburaya. 66, I think, could be 65. So
sounds
that
right.
one. Yeah, and then I will just mention briefly Godzilla -1, because we already talked about that. And it's a nice bookend, because it's much more like Godzilla 54 than it is Monster Zero.
It really is, and it's gorgeous to look at too.
Beautiful. I don't know how they did it on what, $10 million budget.
I think it was 15, but
15?
even still, that it looks like 50 at least.
There's a lot that can be said about that in other ways about bloated CGI budgets. So
Absolutely.
but anyway, it's a good bookend, because it's also very different from 54. It's not about the same thing. It's a different perspective on the same things. God, see, now I'm thinking. I should be thinking right now. So yeah, if I were to say, I just crammed 3 Godzilla movies in there, because it's hard to talk about these without talking about Godzilla.
Right.
So the Godzilla. The second one, I'm just going like down time.
Please, by all means, yeah.
So the second I chose was The Three Treasures.
Okay.
Which I expect most people have not seen that are here. It stars Toshiro Mifune.
Speaking of Kurosawa.
Yeah. Speaking of greatest actors, right? It's from 59. Stars him. I think Shimura's in it as well. Kumi Mizuno is an actress that's in it, who was in a lot of the Toho Godzilla movies eventually. She was in Monster Zero, actually. It's called The Three Treasures. It's basically the Yamato story about the creation of Japan. There's not a bunch of kaiju in it, but it's Toshiro Mifune, and it's got the kaiju in it is Orochi, the 8-headed dragon.
Ooh.
Right. And so you get another look at the 1950s, and you get a look at that. It is not a movie that's easy to find. I don't know if there's been a Blu-ray or 4K release of it. My version of it is a bootleg DVD from way back.
Yeah.
But you can imagine I have a ton of these from before we had matching regions and everything else. But it's another one I haven't watched it in a while. It's very long and it's very slow, and it really is. But it's also it's a fantasy. It's a creation myth. Starring Toshiro Mifune.
I'm in already.
Right, yeah. So it's that. Then I will jump Mothra, 1961. We're still talking. This is also Honda and Tsuburaya again. Mothra in this movie and elsewhere, she's an interesting monster to compare to Godzilla. I mean, the Mothra movie, it's a classic anti-corporate, anti-capitalism movie, really.
Yeah.
And and she's a generically much more benevolent creature. But she gets in that strange thing. She is straight up a god, and she's straight up worshipped as a god. But it's very much an anti-corporate movie. I mean, again, we're talking about the 60s. We're talking about, at this point, American capitalism is getting entrenched over there, and then Mothra comes along.
Yeah.
So it is still playing through all of these things. The plot of that movie gets rehashed in other movies a good bit. It's great. It's beautiful. It's in color. Great designs. Cool story. Great characters. Nothing wrong with Mothra.
Indeed.
The next one, so to get out of the giant ones, is Matango, or as it's been known over here before, Attack of the Mushroom People.
Yes.
Yeah. Matango is probably my favorite Honda Tsuburaya movie. It is not a giant monster movie. It is a horror movie. And Attacking the Mushroom People. I kid you not, the plot of this is Gilligan's Island. I tell people this. No, for real. No, hear me out. It's got the exact. Oh, see, you should really love Matango. It's got the exact same character types of each character in Gilligan's Island, from the skipper on down to Marianne and Ginger. The archetypes are all there, the exact same ones.
Interesting.
Their little ship sets sail, gets caught in a storm, and they irrevocably are crashed onto an island. It is Gilligan's Island. But then it's a horror movie.
Right.
Where, I mean, it doesn't really give much away to say this, and we're talking about a movie, I think it was in 1963. Eventually, you've got to find food, so they start eating local mushrooms. Whoops. Tsuburaya is involved for a reason. They slowly start mutating. But it's, so you have that movie, and people start turning into mushrooms, people. But it's like, which sounds funny, but it's horrifying. And layered in that, though, is you get criticisms of each of these archetypes of people. The greed in them and the selfishness in them and in their stereotypes. And I'll point out, this came out before Gilligan's Island. But it's not funny. It's really dark, and it's really beautiful in its designs. And, it stars some of the same people I've already mentioned. And I do love that movie. I really do. Matango.
Interesting. I
Next
don't
up,
think I've seen this one. I need to see that one.
It's, yeah, I always love to know what people think of Matango, because it has that unfortunate old American translation of Attack of the Mushroom People, which I suppose is fair, but it's
really not as enticing.
Right? Yeah, it's a horror movie. I mean, I don't, and that weird parallel to the setup for Gilligan's Island is in its own way really creepy to me, right? I mean, you have this stupid slapstick American comedy, and then you sit and, if you're watching Matango and you realize that, you're like, oh crap. It's a good dark horror movie, I think, especially considering the years. Next up will be the TV show, which is Ultra Q from 1966. This is the first show that, so Kaiju Tsuburaya, who I've been talking about, formed his own studio to keep this simple, Tsuburaya Productions, and went on to eventually do Ultraman. So Ultra Q is the first show they did. I love this show. It's only a couple seasons. It did not last long, a couple seasons, but in Japanese TV shows tend to not last long. Black and white, 66, I think I said. If you can think of it as, the Twilight Zone, but with tokusatsu. So you have both these man-sized creature threats, and for the most part, it follows a plucky female reporter and an airplane pilot and his sidekick. But you get into like kaiju who are attacking. You get into Gokebari Snake. That's a good one. You get into Yeah, giant monsters. You get into man-sized monsters. You get in some real Twilight Zone stuff about dreams. It's giant robots that are really cool looking. It look like nothing like you would think a giant robot would look like.
Right.
People get shrunk down to small size, as in an effort to save space because there's of overpopulation. They start shrinking people, and you find out as you go through it. This is interesting to me too. This is something I've always wanted to read up on, but haven't. Is there? It's all these standalone episodes, but then as you start getting a little over halfway through it, suddenly you start realizing that there's a subplot. There's a subplot going on here, and what is it, and what's the end game with it? And it's very much probably there's an alien invasion happening, and creatures start showing back. I mean, and I don't want to overplay that as this big ultimate big battle thing at the end. It's nothing like that. Like I say, this is the Twilight Zone. This is very much like the Twilight Zone. But you start seeing like, well, there's these threads that are like going through this that are purposeful. So what's going on? But again, it's the Twilight Zone, so figure it out. I love that show. It is an amazing show. It's produced some of the most popular characters in tokusatsu to this day, and they've shown up repeatedly since then. One of them is Kanagon, who is basically man-sized creature, whatever you'd like to call him, kaiju, I would say. He's got a purse for a mouth. It's a big disc face. He shows up. There's an homage to him in Dan to Dan. If you've ever watched Dan to Dan,
Heard it's decent.
it's fun. It's fun. But there's an homage. There's an homage to Kanagon in it. He's got a zipper on it. It's a purse mouth. Garamon's. He's one of the giant robots. He's possibly the most popular monster in Japan to this day. It's just a good show, and each episode's very different, and it really expands what it could be. And it was the first on TV. I mean, there were other, superhero type shows like this, but this show, was like at the height of the kaiju boom, in the golden age of it. And when this show hit the ground, it did fine, but it was the one right before Ultraman. And when Ultraman came along, where you suddenly have the superheroes inserted into it, it's over. Ultraman took everything over at that point. But Ultra Q is this anomaly where it's not a kaiju thing itself, although there are kaiju in pretty much every episode. It's not a superhero thing. It's a reporter, and these other people investigating weird shit. And there's a lot of it. And so, you can find Ultra Q, and I think it's streaming. I think it's streaming through Shout, or at least it was until recently. I would recommend Ultra Q. The first episode, actually, the monster in that Gomus in the first episode is they took a Godzilla suit, stuck a bunch of other stuff on it, like a horn and things like that. It's not unusual. You'll watch these shows and movies, and the suits get repurposed to save money all the time.
Right.
There's suits that were used. They just changed the head off. Multiple movies and from multiple productions and production companies, and it happened. But I can't recommend Ultra Q enough.
Did you check out any of the Blu-rays from Mill Creek that they put out of those Ultraman series? God,
I have
5
them
years
all.
ago. I was
Got
gonna.
them all.
They look incredible for all the work that they did on those.
They're very well done, and they were my introduction to some of the later ones, the later Ultra series. But you can see there was, I can't remember how many. There's a lot of them, and Ultra introduced me to one was like Ultraman 80, which came out in 1980. Usually, and man, I fell in love with that series as well. Didn't expect to. I was like, okay, Ultraman, Ultra 7 after that, and then I was like, it's going to start kind of probably sliding in quality like these things do.
Yeah.
But they lose. You don't have the money. But Ultraman 80 really struck with me. And that's the one they only released on DVD. They didn't do a Blu-ray of, which is interesting.
Oh, near the end they started only doing DVDs, which made no sense considering the wonderful work they did on the rest of them.
I have all these Blu-rays, and then there's the DVD. So, the Ultra Q. started all that. It's great. Next up would be number, what was that? After writing these things down, 6, which is Daimajin.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah, Daimajin it's a feudal Japan story. It's not modern like everything else basically that we're talking about. And it is about a stone statue of a Meijin warrior. Think of it, if you don't know, think of it like a samurai statue of a samurai. It would be the closest thing to come to right now. And he's worshipped as a god, a vengeful god, by a village, and lo and behold, outsiders come and take. I'm very much chopping this down. Come and take over the village, and the villagers pray to Daimajin. Other things happen, like the outsiders try to destroy the idol, as you do. And then Daimajin appears, and he is a vengeful god. I will say that. But
it's a hell of a strong name too.
Yeah, no, Daimajin, and he appeared. He appeared. There was a yokai movie that came out fairly recently that I'm not going to talk about, but Daimajin makes a little cameo in that, which is fun. But he's smaller than you think of when you think of Daikaiju. He's worshipped by people, as a god, which ties right back into the other things we've been talking about. But he's smaller. It's feudal. It's a trilogy. I'm only talking about the first one. I think they're all good, but they're all basically the same plot.
Yeah.
Just done, it's the same thing over and over again, really. This one is in snow, and this time he's in another location, but it's still the same basic plot points. So you, in theory, could watch one and get the basic idea. But yeah, I mean, it's good.
This was released by Arrow in a trilogy box set. Do you have that trilogy? Is it worth checking out?
I have an older set. I have an older DVD set. I do not have the Arrow set. Great art on that Arrow set too. It's on my list, but I haven't upgraded. I have an older, really nice DVD set. My next one is War of the Gargantuas.
Ooh, don't know this one.
It's great. It is sort of a sequel to a previous one, which is called Frankenstein versus Baragon. You do not need to see Frankenstein versus Baragon, which is fun, but I can only talk about 10. So War of the Gargantuas, it's 19, I think it's 66 still, so we're still in the golden age. Go ahead.
I just looked up, there's a Japanese release of this on Blu-ray, and the cover is wild.
It's wild. It is.
I'm going to share this screen.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm curious what you're seeing now.
Okay, here we go. Okay, here it is.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. So one at the top in the green is Gyra, and the one below in brown is Sanda. It's kind of a Frankenstein story. I mentioned Frankenstein versus Baragon. Sanda is basically grown from I haven't watched it long enough at the beginning. The heart of a Frankenstein from the previous one? I can't remember. Irrelevant, other than you got to have an origin story. There are two of them, two Gargantua. One, Sanda, is an earth one. The other one's in the sea. They're brothers. Sanda's the nice one. Gyra, the ocean one, is not. And he's a killer. And it's one of the few where you'll see a kaiju eat people. That tends to be a no-no, like when Toho's always said about Godzilla, things you can and cannot do with Godzilla and what he has to have. Never eats people. Gyra eats people. And so you had this interesting dynamic between these two giant suited creatures. Great fights, but then they're brothers, and there's an attempt at like reconciliation and talking the one down, and what happens? And it's made by all of the masters working at the height of the golden age. And I think it's one of the better ones from Toho that does not involve Godzilla. It's a really good, fun movie with some really serious moments. I like it. Oh, after that, okay. So to change back down, the shrink back down again. There's a trilogy that's just wacky that I really like. Call it basically. It's called uh, the Yokai Monsters trilogy, or maybe the
Mm.
Star Wars trilogy. You're nodding. I think that was the late '60s. There was three of them done over only a period of 1 to 2 years, and when they were originally released, they were released out of order. I mean, let me rephrase that. When they were originally released over here on DVD, they were not released in the correct order. But they had names like Spook Warfare and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it was basically it was yokai, which it could be a whole other topic on here, yokai and yokai movies, which are, gosh, I'll say spirits, and I'm way oversimplifying, is spirits and ghosts and of Japan. Way oversimplifying that, but they're having adventures, and in one of the movies, there's a ancient Mesopotamian god that's come to Japan for whatever reason. So these yokai, these kappa, and everyone else, they have to figure out how to bind together and fight him off. And there's an ancient feudal lord at one point that they have to fight off. It's just fun, and it was my introduction to yokai, which has become a thing that a thing that I really love, and looking at that mythology of Japan, and there's I have art books of like scrolls from you know 16th, 17th century maybe of yokai, and
Wow.
yeah, and it's a whole different thing, and but
Yeah.
this was my introduction to it. Is you have this one, you have an umbrella with one eye and one long tongue. It hops around, and it's in the movie, but it's a real yokai that's historic, and that introduced me into this whole other world. They're not very serious movies at all. They're fun. They don't take themselves too seriously. Sometimes goofy shit happens to the yokai. Some of them are obviously, comedic. It's just a fun late '60s tokusatsu set of movies. Um,
Yeah.
they're great.
I've heard nothing but good things about these, and I've just never checked them out. I've heard
Yeah,
they're amazing, and I need to.
they're just fun, and when you watch it, it's good. It's interesting to know that when you see all these people in the suits, they're all based on historic creatures, and they're not, for the most part, making them up. It's like, this is this character, and this is this character from uh, folklore. Folklore is the best way to describe yokai, really.
Yeah.
Um, they're great. They're good. They're really cool, and one of the things I like about yokai in general, it is folklore. It's not, as much as I love Godzilla stuff, it's not a corporation that's doing it, right? It's like there's a history there, and there's a something that grew up there. Yeah, it's in these movies, and so we're certainly talking about these movies, but it's a different thing, and it comes out interestingly. And I'm talking about a little bit more because a lot of the origins of these sorts of giant monster things are yokai
Yeah.
in different ways. You could argue, if you want to, that a lot of these kaiju are yokai. Um, so it's fun because anything can be a yokai. That's what's exciting about them.
Technically, many of these could fit in. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Severn has done a couple box sets of folk horror movies, and a lot of these,
Oh,
like the origins, are in folk horror.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, and if you sing, I mean, it was one of those things. It's very much one of those things where, as with anywhere, how do you explain the mysterious thing that happened in your house? Something did it, obviously. You know, um, something caused it, and so you apply that to, like you do ghost stories.
Right.
And ghosts are a subset. They're not yokai. They're a subset of yokai, really.
Hmm.
In their way. I mean, anything. That's the great thing. Anything can be a yokai. I mean, one of the things that I hope I don't get this too wrong, but it's very much, if a thing, and even a man-made thing. One of the things about Japan, it can have a soul,
Yeah.
and after like 100 years, it could become a yokai, especially if it's neglected or something. That's why one of the most famous ones is that umbrella. There's one that's sandal. There's one that's like a torn paper lantern. And I'm not talking about the movies anymore. I'm just talking about yokai because you've taken me off on that one. There are now cell phone yokais in Japan. So that's one of the beautiful things about them is they can be anything, and that opens them up to all these other things. It's ancient and modern folklore. It's amazing. I love it. Yokai. The next one to completely skip the 70s and the 80s. Actually, I want to talk about Gamera. I'm going to talk about Gamera. And I'm not talking about 60s Gamera. I want to talk about anyone who's watching and knows Kaiju knows I'm getting ready to talk about the Heisei Gamera trilogy from the mid-90s. So you're already nodding. It's directed by Shiki Neko. The special effects were by the same gentleman who's a special effects director for, his name's Higuchi. Same gentleman who's the Great Yokai War he's mentioning. The sequel to Great Yokai War had a cameo of Daimajin in it. Circle back around there.
Nice.
Yeah, Higuchi, who was the special effects director for the Gamera movies, was also the special effects director for Shin Godzilla, which you had mentioned earlier. So the Heisei Gamera trilogy is, I would argue that was the best kaiju up until that point since the 60s. And it was Gamera. It was it was coming out at the same time as in my opinion, a series of Godzilla movies that have been going on since '84. It was just not nearly as inventive or as good. The Gamera movies had excellent plots. Characters were good. The designs were amazing. The kaiju in it were all great. 2 of the 3 movies had new kaiju in them. It didn't just rely on old Gamera villains. It totally redefined Gamera's mythos. They were very accessible to everyone, but more adult. I have nothing negative to say about these movies. I mean, they're hands up the best thing since probably the 60s.
Damn.
In my opinion. A lot of people would agree with me. I remember, so the last movie came out in like 99. Gosh, I think 99. I happened to be at G-Fest, which is a Godzilla convention. And there was a bootleg of the trailer running for the last one. And it was in this big dealer room. Everyone in that room had gone up to this one bootleg dealer, because again, we're talking about the 90s. We weren't streaming. And he just had a little CRT TV up showing the trailer for this movie over and over, and the entire crowd in there is watching it. That's how important these 3 Gamera movies are. My favorite of the 3 is the second one. So another thing is like they're all connected. It becomes about a third. The first 2 you can watch each one by itself and you'd be fine. The third one pulls them all together, and 90% of the way good.
Right.
The second one is my favorite. It's a great monster design. That's the villain. It's my favorite designs. It's my favorite plot. It's sort of I'll call it an alien invasion movie, but the alien is the kaiju. You're not going to get an alien, with a cool pointy hat or anything. I think it's just a solid movie. If you're interested in the special effects, they're amazing. The third one, a lot of people say is their favorite, but for me, the second one. The third one is its sensibility, and this isn't bad. The sensibility is a little more anime.
Okay.
It's very much, it's very much kaiju tokusatsu, but a lot of the inspiration to me in the characters and the kaiju designs, which is a giant monster with pointy bits and long tentacles with knives on the end of them. It's a great design. He's an awesome kaiju.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it's very much more an anime aesthetic,
right?
Which is fine, but I'm just trying to describe it without telling you the plot. The second movie though is my favorite. Best villain, best. It's good. as you can tell, I'm just like, oh, I want to keep talking about these.
Yeah, by all means.
Great, amazing. The director is one of the best modern directors of kaiju. He did these three, and he did what some people might recognize as Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack.
Oh yeah.
That was him. He got that job after Gamera. It's a great movie. The first half's better than the second half, but they really shoehorned him in. He wanted to do something very different. I won't say very different. He wanted completely different monsters in it, but Toho forced him to use the ones that are more marketable. It wasn't going to be Mothra and King Ghidorah. It was going to be some other creatures without getting into it. But that Godzilla's a great. I had to leave it off because we're leaving out Godzilla and we're nearing it at 10. Great Godzilla design. Probably the only Godzilla I would ever describe as straight up evil.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one that will hear literally at one point in the movie, hears a woman screaming, turns around, snarls at her, and nukes her. I mean, he's evil.
Wow.
And they put him forth as, to bring it back around, he is a vengeful spirit. And without getting into it, he's a vengeful spirit of the dead in World War II who people are forgetting about. And they make a point of not the Japanese dead, the dead. So there's that whole aspect of spirituality involved in that movie. And it's a lot of critiques of modern Japan as well. But the Gamera trilogy, in my opinion, is better. That one's still good if you like the Gamera trilogy. And it's one of the best modern Godzilla movies, even with the limitations that were put on it. It's really solid.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm very behind on so many of these.
Yeah, that's fine. But now only one more. So, and that would be, we talk about Shin Godzilla. I'm going to talk about Shin Ultraman. So, Anno and Higuchi did 3 Shin movies. They did Shin Godzilla, Shin Ultraman, and Shin Kamen Rider. We're just not talking about Shin Godzilla. We talked about it earlier. It's not in the list because, again, keep away from Godzilla.
Right.
Shin Kamen Rider was the last one. They had some similarities to Shin Ultraman in that what both of those movies really do is retell the first season of each TV show as a movie, but modern. For me personally, Shin Ultraman worked a lot better. It's very much a cohesive story. The characters I like. The redesigns of the classic kaiju are good. It changes the ending, so you can't predict how it's going to end because you saw the last episode of Ultraman, which itself had a very defined ending. And I enjoyed it, and it's very much bringing together. It's very different from Shin Godzilla in that Shin Godzilla is a very serious movie. This is an Ultraman movie. This is a superhero movie.
Right.
And Ultraman's very much a badass in it. It makes great use of the fact that Anno directed, was behind Evangelion, and how he understands how giant things move in a cool way. Giant robots and Evangelion, but Kaiju and Ultraman in this. I really enjoy it. I actually honestly don't even really know what a lot of other people thought about it. I just saw it and I was like, okay, I think this is kind of cool, and let it run with it. And that's the only movie I actually have in here, 2022. So that's the only one from the 2000s again, because I mentioned -1 earlier. So that would be my 10 to give you a good range of movies and TV shows.
I feel like I don't hear anybody else talking about Shin Ultraman, and this is one I'd heard about when it came out, but I've not heard. I don't even know, other than you now. I don't know that I know many people that had seen it even.
Yeah, I like it's faithful. It changes a lot from the series. So if you're really a purist for Ultraman, there are some things that change. There's no little blinky timer on his chest anymore, for example.
Right.
The setup is the same, where you have the Science Patrol and he's a secret member of the Science Patrol. But because they're taking a season of episodes and they're turning it into a movie, there's a lot that's different along the way. A lot of the kaiju and the seijin have different motivations getting to the end. He has to, it turns it into, how do you take these and turn these, standalone episodes and turn it into a single plot?
Right.
And I think it works out for the most part really well. Kamen Rider, Shin Kamen Rider, on the other hand, I really did not like that movie. And I think Kamen Rider is pretty cool because, and I think he did this on purpose. So this could be my fault, but it's very much more like, how do I describe it? Like, there's plot holes. Like, someone will be here, and then the next thing you know, they're in a whole other place. But that happened a lot in these TV shows. So
Right.
my gut tells me that this was on purpose, and it's a purposeful homage to things that were happening. But it really pulled me out of what was going on.
Yeah.
But I think he was doing it on purpose. I'm just not the intended audience, and that's another thing. Not being Japanese, we lose a lot in watching these too. We lose
Right.
a lot of cultural references, for example, and a lot of the history. But yeah, now I kind of want to watch Shin Ultraman again because I've seen it.
The Shin Kamen Rider, when compared to the other two Shin movies, did that one come out? Was that first, or was that
Shin Kamen Rider was Shin Godzilla was the first one. Shin
Right.
Godzilla was an amazing, resounding success in Japan. I mean, you've
Yes.
got the creator of Evangelion doing a Godzilla movie.
everybody was going to go see it? Yes.
Yeah, there was no way. I mean, whether they liked what they saw or not is a whole other conversation. But it was an amazing success. It was big, and as a result, he got Shin Ultraman and Shin Kamen Rider.
So Kamen Rider's the most recent one then?
Yeah, I think Shin Kamen Rider is maybe 2023.
Oh, geez. All
I
right.
can't remember. I think I saw it actually. God, I could be totally wrong. I think I saw it streaming on Amazon. I just had to pay to see it. But I was like, oh, Shin Kamen Rider, why not? It was very well done. It just was like it had, plot wise and what he
Right.
was trying to. I think I get what he was trying to do. It just didn't resonate with me.
Got it.
So
Dang. Yeah, there's a lot there that I have never seen, a few I had never heard of. So much I need to see, though. So much of this is steeped in that Japanese culture too, and I don't know. I feel like we're about to be in an era of physical media, just to kind of wrap it around what we've talked about everything tonight, where we are leaving behind Hong Kong, which has been hit really hard over the last couple of years for physical media, and I feel like we're finally going to hit a big period of Japanese cinema, which has never been mined properly in the HD era for many, especially of like their older films, like the 60s and 70s, has had some releases, but there's still a lot left to be overturned.
yeah, I mean, there's movies, and we're not talking about kaiju anymore, but there's movies that that just haven't been seen outside of Japan for a number of reasons. Some of it's just, the companies can be difficult to work with.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying the pluses or minuses there. I'm just saying as a fact, like, Toho, who controls it. If you're talking about, Kurosawa and Godzilla would be if you control both of those, and they do, it's their intellectual property and they will defend it. I'll say that. And they, it took forever to get, it's Toho the reason, as I understand it, Criterion didn't have 4K when they released that horrible Showa box. I could talk about that for a while too, but as Toho wouldn't, because Toho, they were going to be releasing 4K in Japan.
Right.
So I assume they were worried Criterion would do it better. I don't know, but finally they got to do 54 and 4K. So
Yeah, better packaging than the rest of that. I hated that. Like the book itself is very nice, and I wish they would release that cover as a poster. But my God, those little pockets I hate.
It didn't happen to me because I saw people talking about it. But the reason I complain is the size is weird. But also, people were saying the glue, their disc would fall through and get stuck in the glue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, so mine been laying down, which of course also isn't an ideal way to store discs. So what I'm gonna probably end up doing is order some custom covers and chunk them in those and put them on a
Yeah.
shelf.
I do like the people on Etsy that were selling the little disc cases and
Yep.
the covers. They're really nice.
That's what I was actually thinking of. Yeah, it's a, man, we're talking about art again. Art on that big Showa box is beautiful. I love the idea, but practical considerations were not taken into account.
Well, and not to shit all over Criterion, but even the discs themselves. I mean, the compression isn't great on the discs. It's not like we're overran with supplemental features or anything like that. It could have been much better, but I also understand it was at the time it was seen as a big risk for what they were putting out. But now looking back, it's like, wait, it's Godzilla. Of course, this is going to sell like crazy.
Yeah,
We should do this.
Now, I'll be honest. I can't say you're wrong, but I don't. You probably know better than I do, honestly, but. I agree with you. I'm not sure if the blame is Criterion's or Toho's.
Right.
It's like I say, the Toho can be difficult. But yeah, but now they're doing Heisei Godzilla stuff. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And a whole different. That's some love-hate stuff too. That's the older Showa stuff is better. I'll just say, in my opinion. There are people who love that Heisei stuff, but to me, it's mostly repetitive to me, and the special effects don't really get better. And there's some cool designs, but it doesn't hold with me as either the Showa stuff or even the post 95. I'll say post 2004. I mean, it doesn't. The 80s and 90s Godzilla stuff just doesn't hold up as well, especially when you drop the Gamera trilogy in the middle of it. You say, "Oh,
right.
You're doing that." Plop. And you're like, yeesh.
Can't even compete.
In my opinion, no, it can't. And it's also showing my age because people started embracing those 90s Godzilla movies, which good for them. I'm not here to, don't yuck someone's yum, but they've never really held up to me personally.
Yeah. I get that entirely. But on that note, it's been a hell of a night. Thanks for doing this, Richard.
Absolutely. Hopefully I did well and I didn't ramble too much.
No, this is one of those topics that I just literally want to sit and learn about. I mean, it's one of those things that I've watched some from, but not enough to not even be like not an authoritative voice, but more of just like an ignorant bastard voice. I'm a nobody, and I am dying to see some of these. I mean, again, like the yokai monster trilogy, heard everybody raving about it, just didn't get to it. Even the Gamera set from Arrow that they released. Do you got that big one that they did?
I have. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. The problem is I have so many kaiju movies. I have to stop and in my head imagine what I've. Yes, because I just upgraded my yokai set to actually
nice.
An Arrow set. Yeah, I just the Blu-ray set.
I honestly, I'm just glad that Arrow saw that it was like worth the risk to put these out and give them nice respect and like great art and appealing special features and everything. Yeah,
they're great. And the thing is, obviously, there's so much I haven't talked about. And there's to what some of the things we've been talking about with boutique labels or releasing things. There's so much Japanese cinema, kaiju amaya, that's people have never seen here. I mean, there's still so much I have that, to be honest, are bootlegs because there's just no other way to get them, or haven't been until recently. Like I've got an old boot, of Mighty Peking Man, which I think recently finally got a release outside of Japan.
Yep. It's in one of those Shawscope sets from Arrow.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, I mean that's Tokusatsu really early Tokusatsu. I mean, there's others that just never made it. Especially, I mean, outside of kaiju, because people will buy a Godzilla movie, but once you get to some of the other stuff, it's nice. I mean, it's been nice to see Seijun Suzuki get some respect.
Yeah,
I am a big Suzuki fan, so that's warmed my heart a good bit to see that. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it's just, I think negotiating with the Japanese is a very different thing. And again, we're talking about very different cultures. So
Yeah, that's true. We got one final question for you. Ronnie wants to know, are you into Jet Jaguar, and do you have a Jet Jaguar toy or figure?
I have many Jet Jaguar toys or figures. There's a giant one down there from the 70s, and I've got a little teeny one still bagged over there from the 70s, and you can't see
Nice.
it on me. Jet Jaguar is very cool. They did a short recently you can find on YouTube of Jet Jaguar was back and was fighting. Jet Jaguar was cool in the Godzilla Singular Point anime series, actually. He was fun in that. I like Jet Jaguar. Jet Jaguar is awesome. I mean, he was the Godzilla's attempt to talk about how I was talking about Ultraman took everything over.
Yeah.
Jet Jaguar was one of many imitators wanting to like ride that ultra hero bandwagon. But yeah, Jet Jaguar's fun. I have many Jet Jaguars.
Well, on that note, everybody should follow Richard on Instagram. Link is in the description below. One thing I will say, being somebody that helps on all of the Deaf Crocodile releases, seeing your in-progress photos of some of these hardcover designs that you're doing has been amazing. Watching Krakateet come together with every update that you gave Craig was just stupendous to see. But because of that, I would say it seems like your Patreon's a pretty great place to get some of those in-progress things.
Yeah, so my Patreon, which is very small, is I got permission from Craig to post all of my. So what I sent Craig isn't even really anything. I mean, if you saw what I sent Craig, you see I sent him way more than I should probably, but he likes to get it. But yeah, I do share progress shots in clumps on my Patreon. So I am currently right now sharing what will be the next cover will it be the next one? I think it's the next one that I'm doing with them. I've already shared all the Krakateet stuff on there. The next cover I'm doing for them, I just today posted my completed pencils for it. And that cover's done and gone, and
yeah,
they're doing what their magic. Beth is probably doing her magic with it right now. I've already posted the pencils, and after that, I'll probably later this week start posting the paint, the watercolor.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Check it out. Link is in the description below. Yeah, this has been fantastic. Fun topic choice too. Thank you for that. That was a good idea.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's I've loved this stuff since I was a kid, so it's fun to talk about. Thank you for giving me the chance.
Absolutely. And I mean, odd behind the scenes stuff to share, but the reason you're here tonight is Craig had to cancel. It was going to be Craig tonight, but we got you to step in, and I feel like that was a really fun switch out this time.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Craig's a great guy. I've known him so long. He's great.
Craig is fantastic, and we'll get him back on eventually. But this has been stupendous. Like I said, everybody go follow Richard. And on that note, we'll see y'all next Thursday. And thanks again for doing it.
Thank you so much.
See y'all then. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share with someone else that may appreciate this.